Well, good morning, everybody, and welcome back to the Camera Life podcast. It's the 18th of September, 2025, and we're coming to you live from right across Australia, really. But this is the Camera Life podcast, proudly brought to you by Lucky Straps. So we make handmade, Aussie-made, premium leather camera straps that will probably outlive you and your camera, most definitely. So head to luckystraps.com, use code Greg, Jim, or Justin. That's not the whole code. Use one or the other. And get yourself a healthy little discount on your next Lucky Strap order. We sell straps for every size camera, for every person out there who wants to shoot. And we also have leather belts and winter gloves and all sorts of things. So, head to luckystraps.com and we'll look after you. Well, Jim will. That's kind of mostly his job now. So I just say the words.
He'll take care of you.
He will. But joining us today, as I've said, we've got Jim, and obviously we've got Justin. Someone has to pay to keep the lights on. And we are joined today by award-winning director, DOP, and photographer, Chris Benny. Welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me on.
Hey,
Chris. It's our pleasure. You've been at the top of Justin's must-interview list for quite some time, probably since we started this podcast, I'd imagine.
I am literally wearing one of his belts right now. So, big fan of the Lucky Strap stuff for years.
Lucky Straps, holding you up. That's what it should be.
That's it.
That is good to hear. We Jim and I we're fangirling at the moment. We've been waiting for this to happen for a little while. So we're basically on here just to look at your pictures and be like, wow, that's amazing.
Yeah, and I appreciate you fangirling.
Oh,
I think you guys are nuts for doing this live. I'm nervous as hell. So
don't be nervous.
Someone has to hold my hand.
Yeah, we've got you. Don't you worry.
We've got you.
But look, just before we say good morning to the chat, because everyone's already jumping on nice and early, which is wonderful to see. Chris, can you just give us the 60-second version of who you are, what you shoot, what you're known for?
Chris. I've been shooting now for close to 20 years. I built the company Cube Productions, which is a small production company in Sydney, where we photograph, shoot video, do creative, post-production, everything sort of essentially in-house for all production. And a bit about me. I've shot a bit of everything over the years, but I guess I'm sort of predominantly known for shooting a lot of automotive work. That's sort of a bit of a quick wrap.
Yeah, I'll say your automotive work is... it's a very humble way of saying a bit of automotive work.
Worked with some of the biggest brands on the planet in the automotive space. He's being humble. We'll bring some of his work up soon. Actually, I've got this behind the scenes clip that I was looking at before. I'm just going to play.
God, I hope I'm not picking my nose.
No. But if I play this, you guys need to promise not to like copyright strike our channel or whatever YouTube allows you to do. Just be nice. But I'm going to play this.
We own the footage. You should be fine.
This will give, it's only a quick clip. This will give the viewers a bit of an idea of some of the crazy shoots that you've been a part of. Ready? And... Look at that camera strap. Look. Can you see in the background? Can you see it, Jim?
Just a brown line, yeah.
Yeah.
It's the brown line.
That is pretty cool. That is a nut shot. And that whole Red Bull shoot, the behind the scenes stuff, and the video itself was absolutely crazy. Actually, it
was pretty fun. It's not something that'd be repeated, right?
Yeah. Is that why? Because you guys made like 3 or 4 behind the scenes videos about it and stuff. Were you like coming into that? Were you like, we need to document this?
That was sort of the start of. Yeah. And it was sort of, the more weird things we do and strange things we do for work and get paid for it for some reason, I think, we should be shooting the behind the scenes of this. Surely someone will find it interesting. So I've been trying to, as you guys know, it's very difficult, but trying to sort of show more of what we do.
I don't know how you would do it on a high pressure shoot like that. I struggle when we're shooting weddings. We couldn't do behind the scenes
Yeah.
of us shooting weddings.
A little bit different.
But you're like you got a million moving pieces and talent and bloody planes.
Yeah. That one wasn't too bad. Because I wasn't directing it. I was just shooting it. So we had time. So we had a massive crew on that. So I was working with another production company on that and Hype Republic. But it was good. It was one of the first jobs where we actually had a bit of time to set up some behind the scenes cameras and things like that. So it was, it was cool to be able to capture a bit of it.
Well worth it, that's for sure. One of our past guests and friend of the channel, Lucinda Goodwin, who's a concert photographer in Geelong. She's shot everyone, but she actually uses her, what are they, the Ray-Ban Meta glasses?
Yeah, the Meta glasses.
She doesn't need glasses. She just gets a clear frame, but she shoots a lot of behind the scenes content for her Instagram stories and reels. And, she's very, very thorough with social media, and she just wears the glasses. So she's shooting like normal, but we're all seeing it as though she's got like
genius.
a D camera. So it's really cool. And we're seeing more and more of that in the creative space, which is wonderful. Because it stops that whole gatekeeping kind of mentality of, I'm not going to tell you how I did that,
But knowing the quality of Chris's work, he'd probably have like an Ari mounted to his Ray-Bans or whatever, trying to get in.
Just two.
Just getting some behind the scenes, guys. All right, I'm going to say a quick hello to the chat, and then we're gonna get straight into this interview. Tony is here. Tony is a friend of ours, so he's a friend of mine, Jim's. He's here to listen to this interview. He does not own a camera. He is a big car automotive guy, and when he heard you were coming on, he was like, "I'll be listening." He's also probably repairing a fridge at the same time. Good morning, John Pickett. Good morning.
Sorry, I didn't know. Sorry, I cut you off. I didn't know Tony didn't have a camera. He shows up to every single podcast.
He's a fan of the podcast. He's not a fan of cameras.
Yeah,
it's
love him for it.
He's
Thanks,
a different
Tony.
cat. He's currently building a sim racing setup in his shed, so maybe he'll start live streaming himself. Yeah, sick.
Yep.
Have you ever done that? Is that a thing you're into?
We have one. We have one out in the office there. So out in the next room, we've got a Top Gear style leaderboard where it has same track, same car, and clients that come in. And every now and then on a Friday afternoon, we'll have a few drinks and get very competitive. But it's hilarious watching people jump on. They're like, "I'll just do a lap," and then 2 hours later, they're like, "Just one more lap, just one more lap." It's super competitive. It's lots of fun though.
It's really hard though, isn't it? Because they're very accurate. So you actually have to drive it more like it is a real. It's not a game. It's like supposed to be simulating a race car.
You work out very quickly who not to get in the car with. Some people you're just like, I'm never getting in the car with you.
That should be a test for Uber drivers. I'm telling you.
Absolutely.
Want to see if they can deliver faster.
Just to see if you're going to be safe.
The worst thing is all us and the rest of the guys at Cube here, we do 4,000 laps, and then because we work with professional race drivers quite often, they'll come in and within 3 laps they're beating us, and it's just infuriating.
What about the other way when you have like do you ever have like people in from big marketing agencies and things like that, and you have to basically sandbag yourself and let them win so that they feel special and use you for the job or whatever, even though they can't drive for shit? Is that a thing?
Absolutely, yeah, definitely. You got to play the safe line. Yeah. That's quite funny because we've got
kids with Mario Kart, so
Oh no, you can't let your kids win. You got to show them who's boss. But it's funny because we've got the full VR headset, and we have some people who jump in and think it's the best thing ever, and then other people who within 2 to 5 minutes they're on the floor, literally feeling motion sickness.
Yeah, it's funny that when that happens. Yeah. Well, not funny, funny, but it's just really interesting. People that didn't know that they were affected by that stuff. It just all of a sudden spin out. Yeah. Pardon the pun.
It's weird. We played with one for a little bit. One of the Oculus ones. Whatever it was, Meta. Yeah, those ones. And some of them are fine. Like if you're moving around in the space, they're fine. But there was one where it's like you just sit there and you're like flying a helicopter or something like that, and you're just staying put. They're the ones that make you feel like unsettled. It's different. Who else is in the chat? David Mascaro from San Francisco. Good to see you. Yelena says another day, another late start. That's how we roll. You know that.
Yeah.
And she says, morning, everyone. Tony, Nick Fletcher, good morning. Gosh,
Nick.
sure.
Hello, Nick.
Oh, Maple Glades. Hey, what's up? Stuart Lyle, good morning from Oyster Cove, Tassie. Anthony Stonehouse, good to see you. Yeah, Tony says I plan my week around this. Lisa Leeds is watching from work. Well done. Nick Fletcher, that is nuts. Yeah, that was that whole. So there's 3 episodes of the behind the scenes of that Red Bull F1 shoot. It's on the Q Productions YouTube channel. Go watch all 3 episodes and then watch the actual video itself. Yeah. That's, I think, on
Not now.
Red Bull. Not now, later. Not, on the Red Bull Oracle page. It's crazy.
Yeah.
And yeah, who else is here? I think that's it. Shots by Jack. Good morning from Christchurch. Hey, welcome.
Jack.
Car photographer. I can tell by your profile picture.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. But look, just before we jump into and wind back the clock on Chris's journey and work, if you're new to the channel, please give us a like. It helps let YouTube know that other people should look at this. And please hit subscribe and tickle the bell so that way you get notified of any upcoming episodes that we have. We have 2 consistent episodes. We have the Thursday morning, 9 a.m. Australian Eastern Standard Time show. And then we have a 7:30 p.m. Monday evening show, Australian Eastern Standard Time. And every now and then we drop a little random one, or Justin will be out doing something creative and he'll drop it on. But yeah, so if you hit the bell icon, you'll get notified in your time zone of when we are coming up live in your eyeballs. So Chris, thanks so much for joining us once again. What we like to do here is get a little bit of insight into your earlier inspirations as a visual creative. Maybe first camera moment, a particular mentor or someone who supported you, any of those sort of key moments in your early years.
How far do we want to go back here? I mean,
All the way.
All the way. The first memory of sort of realizing, photography is fun and this could be cool was, I remember it was a Melbourne car show and I must have been 10 years old or something. And my dad took me along and handed me the camera, and I just, eyes wide bright, running around looking at cars, and thought, this is the best thing ever. I just get to take photos of stuff, and then I remember the photos got developed, and my parents went, oh, that's quite impressive. You can actually, take a decent photo, and that's sort of what probably sparked it for me. And then from there, it was just, straight into school. Picked photography. Had to choose photography or maths, so picked photography.
It's a no-brainer.
Can't add up numbers. Yeah, can't add up numbers now, but can take a photo. So and then from there, it developed. Exactly. From there, it sort of it developed slowly.
Yeah. And so, were your folks creative people or business-minded people? Were they obviously they were encouraging of your early pursuits in photography? But what was that inspiration from a creative perspective?
Yeah, I mean, look, my grandfather was a photographer back in the day, and then my dad loved doing it. So, growing up as a kid, he was always walking around with a camera, and I'd always grab it off him and start shooting shots. So yeah, I guess it's a pretty creative sort of family in that way. My brother's now a carpenter builder, so I think we're sort of that way inclined. Enjoy that sort of stuff.
Nice. A good eye, good hands. That's what it takes to be a good carpenter and photographer, maybe.
I think if I wasn't a photographer, I'd probably be doing something like that. It'd be a chippy or a cabinet maker or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. So do you like organizing all your gear and stuff like that? Like behind you, do you do all of that? Do you lay everything out? Do you customize spots to store things? Yeah,
I'm pretty OCD.
Nice. Because to a casual glance, behind you looks like a garage, like a very clean, neat.
It's pretty messy, to be honest. Yeah, no, it's quite messy, but all the gear's pretty well organized, but it's organized chaos.
Yep.
Yeah, exactly.
Love it.
You see all those YouTubers with their perfect rooms and things like that, but it's not real. No one works like that.
Yeah. You turn around and the other side of the room. Actually, have you ever watched some of that stuff on YouTube where they do, I think Gerald Undone does like studio tours of YouTubers. I don't know if you've ever seen any of that, the bigger YouTubers. And it's like the set and then they'll spin it around and you just see all the like random stuff they've had to do, lights hanging from the ceiling, like the random grip work. There's a sound blanket there, and one of the guys has to like go underneath a desk to get into his spot to turn the camera on, and then get back out under the desk. Like it's all just the stuff that you do to make things work. But the set itself looks, perfect.
If it works, it works, right?
Exactly.
Yeah, whatever makes you happy.
Yeah. So what happened? What happened after school? Did you study photography formally at university or anything?
I went straight out of school, straight into TAFE. So did 2 years of, I think it was called photo imaging. And the day I started TAFE, I also started assisting as well. Sort of assisted while studying as well for 2 years.
What did that look like? How did you get that assisting gig?
Just knocking on doors. So I did in year 10, did work experience. And then at that point, definitely went, photography is what I want to do. And then, just went and banged on doors. And it's very difficult to get into our industry, I guess. So it's sort of fairly, there's a lot of one-man bands, and then bringing people onto set, it gets expensive. You got to feed them. They got to travel. There's all that sort of stuff. So I was very lucky to sort of start TAFE 1 week and at the same time assist.
Yeah,
nice. Is that still a thing though? Is that? Sorry, go on, Justin.
Sorry, Greg. I just want to. What sort of assisting work was it? Was it just whatever you could find, or was it a specific genre of photography?
It was a bit of everything, really. But it was all photography. There was no film at that point, and it was a lot of studio work, product, fashion, lifestyle.
Okay.
There was a bit of architecture in there as well. So it was a good mix, and it was great to sort of use that as sort of, I definitely learnt more assisting than I did at TAFE, if I'm brutally honest.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because you're in there, and it's not just. And it's everything else. It's the business side. It's being able to see how you communicate with clients. It's what you do after you've taken the photos. The post processing, all that sort of stuff. And TAFE was brilliant, and it was great, and it was great working with a bunch of creative people who all had the same interest. But the technology and everything was very far behind, and I was probably right in that cusp of between digital and film. So we were learning a lot of film at TAFE. I was sitting there going, man, I don't need to know any of this. When I'm assisting, I'm learning everything about medium format and, how to light with new stuff and, try different things. So it was good. I still enjoyed TAFE, and I'd recommend anyone to do the same thing.
Question about doing the assisting work. Is that still is that still happening these days? Are photographers still taking on, fresh out of college or uni or art school or whatever, creatives to mentor? Is that still a program that's available for people, do you think, as much?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, look, we're always looking for people. I'm always looking for people. So if anyone out there is new and absolutely.
Looks like we're doing a road trip to Sydney. Or if you've ever got a shoot in Victoria, Jim and I and Greg will come and carry anything you need us to carry. Yeah. We'll just watch from it. Yeah, we'll be quiet. So we can bring our own food.
Yeah.
I think assisting is still one of the best ways to get in and learn and experience anything, and assist as many people as you can, because everyone has different techniques and styles and things like that. So it's definitely a good way into the industry.
Yeah, it certainly is. And there's stuff that you learn hands-on with someone, especially when you're fresh out of high school and you're studying. You're 18, 19. I remember back to that age, I was just walking around bumping into things. Like I had no idea what I wanted to do. But having that experience and having someone actually, and it's not just about, I've got a good eye, so I'm going to be a good photographer. Like you said, it's about running the business. It's about customer service. It's about having a work ethic, showing up on time when you say you will. All of those things that I don't think you get taught as much in an education. Well, maybe you do these days, but back then, when I studied photography in art school and we did a whole mixed media approach to a bunch of stuff, there was never anything about the business of being someone who can craft, regardless of what the genre is.
It's 20% is the actual photography. The rest is business.
Yeah. And I don't think that's, maybe it is in tertiary education a bit more, but hands-on, tools on the job. It's the best way to learn. Absolutely.
Sounds like Shots by Jack is keen for some assisting, so he'll be
Oh,
following
look,
you around.
You've got 4 people.
Get over
already.
here, Jack.
And Robert Varner says, I'm 70 and still bumping into things. So, there's that.
Good on you. Thanks, mate. Makes me feel so much better. It really does. Yeah.
Okay, so do you remember when your first paid gig was?
Oh God. I can't remember the exact first paid gig, but well, I mean, it would have been assisting, really, right? So it got to a point where I was. Sorry, you go.
First for you, like first, as in, so you've offered someone, you're like, hey, I could come and shoot that for you. Like, I'll take care of it. Let me come and photograph your pet cat or whatever it is. Like it was there. Could you remember anything where you were like, all right, I'm gonna start doing this thing for myself now?
It was probably Australian Mountain Bike Magazine. So I shot a lot of action sports initially, and still love shooting it. Don't get to shoot enough of it. So yeah, it was probably the guys at Australian Mountain Bike Magazine. It was Mick Ross and Chris Southwood.
Ross? Really?
Yeah.
That's crazy.
I've done tons of shoots for Mick.
No way.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because they went from A and B onto Flow. Absolute legends, those guys. And I was shooting, the product stuff for the magazine, and we were doing that in my parents' lounge room. And they'd always make fun of me, and the only reason they were coming was for my mum's lunch, because my mum would prepare lunch and everything. It was brilliant. It was the best thing ever. Yeah,
That's amazing.
That's genius.
Crazy
feed the clients. That's
It is a
very
small
smart.
world.
It is, and Mick's a legend, and doing those shoots, like I've done just small tourism shoots with him and Will, another guy from Flow, and it's so much fun. They're always laughing, and we just poke around and film stuff in Beechworth and things like that. It's it's great.
You do yourself a disservice, Justin. It's not just a small gig; it's a big.
Well,
gig.
compared to Red Bull, it is.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that's social media, right? Not every job is that big and exciting.
Oh, I thought it was. I thought you just did Red Bull, Audi,
chasing
Red Bull,
planes and race cars.
Absolutely.
Yeah. It's all that. We will later on in the show, for anyone listening, we will dig into the realities of running. I want to find out from you, what is it really like when you're doing these big jobs? But then how many, how do you balance that out with having consistent work and like you said, 20% of it's shooting. It wouldn't surprise me if it's even less than that as you go more into the higher level production, where there's so much more planning and moving parts. So we'll talk about that later in the episode. But getting back to, so you're shooting mountain biking for A&B. And I distinctly remember, unless I'm wrong, Jim, there was quite a bit of moto stuff in your early days as well.
So I shot a bit for Australian Dirt Bike Magazine as well. So it was once I got in with Australian Mountain Bike, visiting their office, everybody there at ACP Magazines at the time, it was sort of, everybody's table was in an arm's reach. So it was quick to get introduced to other people when I went in and visited.
Yeah.
Okay.
And
then there was a hub of magazines and the doors opened that way.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. I feel like I remember a shot of, it was an odd brand of motorcycle, and you did like a flames across the top of a berm or something like that.
Yeah. That was a cover shot for Australian Dirt Bike. You've got a good memory.
Yeah. I remember the shot.
Like they said at the start, Chris, they're fangirls.
Yeah.
So,
I'm trying to find it now. I remember that shot. Hang on. I was deep in the Instagram, the bowels of Instagram, looking around at stuff. And I remember coming past it, but maybe I've missed it. Where is it?
That's one of those ones I look back now and think, shit, that could have gone wrong really quickly. It was literally just like, hey, let's pour some petrol on the top of this berm and light it, and it'll look epic.
It was just petrol, was it?
Yeah.
Okay.
This one?
Yeah. There you go.
oh wow.
Yeah, that was the one.
Okay. Yeah, I remember that. I remember Jim showing me that. So this is interesting. So Jim and I were, trying to become photographers and make a living from this thing, be self-employed. Were into sports, wakeboarding, moto, all that kind of stuff, and like taking those kind of shots, but couldn't really see that being a career. It seemed very out of reach to do that and actually get paid for it. And we were watching you, and I remember, we would see images like this and we'd be like, how's he done that? Oh yeah. So there would have been this here, a light there, and he's done it like this. And then that very quickly went from us being able to break down a shot and be like, oh, we could probably have done that, to like, we have no idea how you're doing this. That progressed fairly quickly into, as you got bigger and bigger clients, more higher end automotive work and stuff. It was like, we have no idea how he's doing this.
That's 90% of the fun, is trying to work out how someone shot stuff like that, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
You were so this is obviously these are today you would just put AI flames in the background, everyone's safe and all good, but you did a lot of stuff like this
Chris would do that.
That was practical and real. But you were a big proponent of editing, Photoshop. Like you lent into that to make your images stand out even from the early days. Is that right?
Yeah, I pretty much started with Photoshop. So back in the day when I was a kid, I remember getting our first computer, and soon after, getting Photoshop, and me being, a rev head as a young kid, it was like, oh, well, how can I Photoshop this photo of this car? So you'd end up trying to work out how to lower it, and, you'd add body kits and all that sort of stuff, change the color of the car. So that's where it sort of started with me, with tinkering with that sort of stuff. And then the photography came after that, and then it sort of, you just try and blend the two, really.
Yeah.
Really? So you were like upgrading virtual cars just for fun on Photoshop? Yeah,
and there was like, this was back when forums were sort of just becoming a thing, right? It was pre-social media, and there was a group on there I can't remember the name of the forum, but there was a group on there where you post up your images that you were working on, and then there was a separate photography one. And that's where I started, jumping onto that and thinking, oh, this could be fun. And, tinkering away more and more.
Interesting.
Forums, that's old school, isn't it?
I don't know what Tony means by this. He says, Chris cost me a lot of money in Audi R8 models he shot. What does that mean?
Has he bought an R8?
No.
He certainly doesn't have an R8, but R8
I think
models?
he's got the little models.
That's car models.
Car models.
Okay.
So you bought models of images, models of cars that Chris had shot real cars of.
Yeah.
I don't know. He's
Something
crazy.
like that.
Explain, Tony. Okay, so magazines, how did that lead to, was this full-time at that point? Were you making a living from doing this stuff?
So initially I was assisting, and then obviously doing TAFE at the same time. So, and then I probably went on for about another year and a half of assisting once I finished studying. And then from there went, okay, going to give this a full crack and jump headfirst in and try and do it myself. But I was very lucky because I was young. I was living at home. There wasn't any overhead expenses. Yeah. So I was very fortunate in the way that I got in and just got to give it a crack. I'm always very impressed when people say, I stopped my career in finance, whatever it is, to take up photography. I can't imagine the fear in doing that is wild.
We had a guest. When did we have Jeff Cable on, Greg? A couple of weeks ago?
2 weeks ago.
3 weeks ago. Jeff Cable, so he's an 8 times Olympic Games photographer.
For Team USA.
For Team USA. Award-winning photographer, Canon ambassador. He was the marketing director for Lexar in San Francisco. Quit his career to pursue sports photography and run his photography business.
Yeah, he was already doing it on the weekends or taking annual leave, but he just started running out of leave. So he thought, well, I'll just create my own space.
Yeah,
good on him.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
Crazy, isn't it? Yeah, it's like that's such a big. It gives you hope when when you're 40 and you're like, oh, could I really do that? Like he did it. So
yeah.
Well, I think if you're passionate about something.
Yeah, absolutely. And sometimes it's that calling comes a little bit late in life when you realize what it is you actually want to do. But we were speaking to Andrew Helmich last week, who runs Photo BizX. Is that right? Or is it Photo X Biz?
No, Photo BizX.
Photo BizX.
And he started out as an electrician and found that he enjoyed photography and started doing more of it. And it just it snowballed for him. And, now he's running a studio with employees, and he runs the #1 business photography podcast in the world. And, he just built himself up from a completely different starting point. It's just that kind of polar opposite of of experience. So after university, you've spent a bit more time. TAFE, you spent a bit more time assisting. You decided to go it alone. What was that like for you? What was that first year experience for you as a solo?
I was shitting myself, to be honest.
As much as you are now?
Yeah, I don't think it ever stops being and being self-employed, right? Like running your own business. It's nerve-wracking. At no point do you feel fully relaxed. But it was exciting. You know, look, I pinch myself that this is what I get to do for work. At the end of the day, you know, I'm not a brain surgeon. I'm creating pretty pictures, and we get to travel around the world. The places we get to see, the people we get to meet. It's literally the dream job for me. So, jumping in and just having a go. There wasn't really an option for failure, I guess. It was sort of like, well, this is what I really want to do, and I want to try and make it work.
Yeah.
Was there anything in those early years you can remember that was kind of like either a turning point or like a moment where you're like, shit, I could really make this work? You know, land a big job or you know, a particular client or something like that. Is there anything you can remember?
It was probably the guys at Australian Mountain Bike Magazine that kept me going. They kept using me, and they, you know, were keen to shoot more. And from there, they, you know, those were the guys that really, really helped me sort of see the light, I think, in terms of, you know, this could be a career, and could actually make, you know, semi-decent money along the way. Yeah, so I think, it was probably those guys. And then from there, you know, it was actually Tim Robson became the editor of Australian Mountain Bike Magazine. And then that was sort of my connection to cars, because he ended up going from Australian Mountain Bike Magazine to Top Gear Magazine.
I was going to ask you about that transition.
Started shooting cars.
Right.
So you were shooting for Top Gear. I think I came across
that
on your website, that gallery. So you've gone from mountain bikes and some trail bikes to automotive. What was that transition like for you? Like, was it a very different experience or style?
Yeah, it was totally different way of shooting things. It's, you know, cars are very technical in their approach. You're shooting this big shiny object, so they're a nightmare, right? Everything reflects on them. Lighting them is difficult. Finding locations is difficult. But I was, you know, passionate about cars, bikes, motorbikes, snowboarding, that sort of thing. So it just felt natural. Like, yeah, why not combine the things you love and do it?
Yeah.
Yeah. You're spot on there with the technical side of stuff. Like, we used to play around, Jim, didn't we, trying to figure things out? I remember we're trying to light, because, you know, obviously what you want with a car is like a giant softbox you can just drive it into or something, and then start manipulating from there. But we didn't have that. So then we were trying to light paint it. And I had this ice light. It was like an early tube light that Jerry Gionis made with West.
Yep, I had one of them.
Like that. You had an ice light. Yeah. So we had
weren't
one
very
of those.
bright, but
no. But we built like a cardboard box, like
it went in my
so that it
softbox,
wouldn't
didn't it?
spill.
Yeah.
Oh, we tried all sorts of stuff like that. Yeah, I definitely remember building cardboard box around it, and so that the light wouldn't spill, so that we could like go along the side of the car and try and get it. Yeah, it is.
You have to dress in black so you don't end up with these pasty legs in the shot as well.
Right. So you were in the early days of automotive, you were doing all that kind of stuff, just trying to figure it out yourself. Just how do I make these images look great?
Absolutely. And I was right on that. Like I said, the internet sort of was becoming more and more popular, and finding out techniques and technology and stuff that would help us create those images was really exciting. So there was private Facebook groups that I was part of, where now, you know, all the top automotive photographers in the world were in that group, which was super exciting.
Wow.
And being able to us all talk about techniques and things that we're trying. And it was a secret group, and I'll probably get in trouble talking about it now. It's like Fight Club.
Yeah.
Right. So were you all having success already in that group, or were you all just trying to break into the industry to that next level and just talking about techniques and stuff like that? What level was it?
It wasn't even business chat. It was, you know, I would have been 18, something like that. And there was a mix of people in there. There were some really young guys, some much older guys who had been in the industry a lot longer. And it was just literally just techniques and talking about the love of photography and shooting cars.
Wow.
Very cool.
That's very cool.
Community is everything.
Yeah. and kicking it around.
And it's crazy. It's crazy now. Back then, all that stuff was gate kept. You never knew how do people achieve this. Whereas now, the amount of resources online to be able to look up and find techniques and technology and things like that is incredible.
Yep.
Do you think it'd be easier to start now or harder because there's
absolutely? I think it'd be easier. I think look, there's going to be more competition, but learning to get to a high standard is much quicker.
Yeah,
just because of the information that's out there.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, even just like no one's jumping into to shooting Red Bull action sports with a Can-Am. No one's just jumping into that because they've seen the video. But the fact that you can even like see stuff like that, just behind the scenes of how this shoot was done, is just available. And then same as car shoots, anything. Is
well,
on YouTube now.
Friend of the show, Dennis Smith, who shoots the Ball of Light series. He's shot all over the world, and without knowing how he did it, it's magical and it's beautiful and it looks incredible. But he publishes everything onto his YouTube channel, Smith Makes Stuff, of how he made the special light painting tools that he uses, and how he actually shoots everything. He records separately and just puts it all freely available on his YouTube channel so that others can learn and build their own skills and challenge the genre. So I get why people gatekeep, because sometimes you have a special sauce that you just don't want to let go of yet. I get that.
Totally. You learn techniques over the 20 years of shooting, right? So there's got to be some mystery to things.
Yeah, you've got to have a little competitive
secret techniques. Yeah, what do you got? Anything you can tell us about?
I'm hiding them all.
That's behind on the other side of the camera. And so, you're shooting for the magazine. When was your first big car brand shoot? What was that experience like? Can you remember which one it was?
I don't know. I don't know, to be honest. It's probably Volkswagen. Volkswagen was one of the first ones I started shooting. But the funniest moment was probably when I was shooting one of the first shoots I did for Top Gear, where we drove out to Lightning Ridge, and I think it was with like a BMW M3, a Lexus ISF, and it must have been something else. There was 3 cars. But I remember we got back from the shoot and I was like, it's rained on the back half of it, so I didn't get enough shots. We needed to still shoot the interiors. And the guys at Top Gear magazine were like, come grab the cars, take them. And I got,
oh, wow.
5 kilometers down the road, and I get this phone call being like, hey, how old are you? And I was like, I'm 18. And they're like, okay, can you turn around and come back very carefully? You're not insured to drive the cars.
Oh, wow.
So, but yeah, that was sort of, shooting for Top Gear, right? That for me was the ultimate. That was right when the show was going gangbusters as well. And to be able to shoot for Top Gear was the coolest thing ever.
Nuts. And that was at 18.
Yeah, I think I was 18 or 19, something about that.
That's incredible, Bruce.
That's so cool.
Well,
and so all of this stuff at this point was stills only?
Yeah, it was probably the back half of editorial work that I was doing, where it was like the 5D Mark II came out and the video side of things, and I started thinking, seeing the writing on the wall as print was slowly reducing more and more, and the online stuff was becoming more popular. I was like, why? We were taking supercars out to the outback. Why are we not shooting a little video of this? And at the time, everybody there was like agreeing, but the publishers, there was no way to really monetize the print side online yet. So there was no budget for it and no real interest.
It's interesting because I think that's, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think that's why Mick and the other gentleman whose name I always forget that started Flow Mountain Bike, Mick Ross.
Yep.
I think that's one of the things that led them to head off and do their own thing, was they really wanted to lean into video. And the print media were kind of pushing back against that, like say that it's not really any way for us to monetize this. Like we'd spend money on it, but it doesn't do anything for our business. So it's interesting.
It was sad to see. It was sad to see that the big magazines didn't really put in the effort. And I guess, look, it's expensive and it's hard to work out. Like I said, monetize it, right? At the end of the day, it all comes down to dollars and cents for them. Yeah. So if they can't do it, they won't do it.
Yeah. Yep. So 5D Mark II, you were shooting Canon back then.
Yeah, I was Canon for many years.
One of your cameras.
Oh, well, what a camera.
What a shameless plug.
That was shameless.
I remember making this strap and being like, we're doing stuff. This is cool.
I remember asking you, hey, can I get my brand on there? And you were like, yeah. And I was like, sick. This is epic.
Yeah, that was really fun. I was pretty excited about this. And then, you took this photo of it. And I was like, awesome. I probably posted that photo a million times.
How long ago was that?
It was 567 weeks ago. Thanks, Instagram. They can't just put the date there. They have to put 567 weeks ago.
About 11 years ago, Greg.
Thanks,
yeah.
Jim.
Yeah, that was definitely in the early
really early
days. That would have been within the first 12 months probably.
Yeah. It would have.
Yeah, our product's gotten a lot better since then. But I remember seeing that embossing and being like, that looks fucking cool.
Yeah, it does. It certainly does.
I'm pretty sure I've still got that strap. The thing is you guys make the best straps ever, and they've lasted forever for 10 years, right? We still use them. And they still look awesome as well.
Yeah, it's not the best business plan. I'm actually working on a new line of dissolving straps. So over sort of 12 months, they just slowly turn into dust, and then people have to buy one every year. It's a strategy. This was super cool. But you were shooting with Canon gear. Have you moved away from owning a ton of your own gear? Like in the early days, were you just trying to acquire gear, or were you in the early days were you like, I'll just hire this, I'll hire that? I assume that's what happens a lot on these bigger shoots these days, is a lot of bringing stuff in depending on what suits the shoot. But in the early days, did you have to build up a giant kit?
I'm still building it. It never ends.
Okay, awesome.
I hate renting gear. It's especially shooting, the specialized stuff that we do. It's really nice having the equipment set up the way you like it, not having to set it up before every shoot. So I guess I'm quite unique in that I own all the gear that we use. It's rare that we actually rent anything.
Oh, wow.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
I've seen a lot of professionals on YouTube say that real high-end commercial photographers and cinematographers don't own gear. They hire the best tool for the job, and they don't make silly business decisions like purchasing expensive equipment. So is your which I disagree with. I think it's cool to own your own shit.
Absolutely.
Is it primarily so that because you're doing generally complicated and unique camera techniques for your shoots, owning the equipment allows you to build it out?
It's that, and then it's the business side. Like everyone, growing up, everyone was always like, don't buy gear, and it never really made sense to me. Why would I not own the thing that I can then rent out and package up as part of the shoot? And then once I've paid it off, I can package things up a bit cheaper and have a competitive edge.
I love it. Yeah. Okay.
So that was always the logic behind it. And now I have way too much shit. It gets to a point where mentally on set, you can only, keep note of so many things. So it's good having a few of the guys that work with us now, just, being across all the gear.
Yeah. And I guess that's the thing. It's because the last thing you want to be doing is trying to figure gear out at a high pressure shoot, which means you've got to rent it for some period of time prior to the shoot, which adds to the overall cost. There's definitely
then there's troubleshooting, and then the last person that used the camera left it in low res JPEG, and you don't realize till halfway through the shoot. Tell me, that's exactly how I know, because that's happened before.
Really?
I got halfway through a big studio shoot, and I won't say who the brand was, but we were shooting away and thinking, yep, we're good, and then I had that moment of realization of like, oh shit, now what are we going to do? We're going to start again. So literally had to go, back to raw and start the shoot again, essentially. But luckily, it was just product in the studio, so it was fairly simple. It didn't have talent and moving parts.
Control.
Man. Yeah. Okay, that's crazy. So,
but I love owning all the gear. I'm a bit of a gadget nerd, so I love all that sort of stuff. I'm always researching new cameras and new techniques and that sort of thing. So I really enjoy owning stuff.
Yeah, I wondered if you were if you kept up with modern stuff. Like, do you keep on top of what's being released from camera brands and things like that? do you only keep up with a certain, really high end cinema cameras, or are you aware of everything that's going on in the industry in the sort of the pro level?
Yeah, try and keep an eye on everything, right? At the end of the day, all the technology is developing so quick. It's it's such an exciting time to be in this industry with cameras. And, like the Nikon ZR that got announced the other day, the Canon C50. I'm watching all that sort of stuff, and it's working out things that we can use on set. Like the C50, I'm excited about because it doesn't have IBIS in it, so we can hard mount that camera because it's small to cars, to dirt bikes, that sort of stuff, where the IBIS moves around and flops around and creates too much jello in the image. Having something that doesn't have IBIS and RAW and open gate, that all gets me excited. You can tell I'm just nerding out here.
I know, I love it. Okay, so if a camera has IBIS and you switch it off, that can still cause issues in these what would you call them? Like environments when you hard mount it to say an F1 car or something crazy like that, where there's just a ton of vibration.
So
switch it off.
Even if it's switched off, the sensor still moves around. I don't know exactly technically if it's mounted in there on springs or however it is, but you get a heap of movement, especially like you said, anything that vibrates a lot.
Yeah.
Okay. So that's why, because we were talking about this literally the other night. We did a show about those cameras that had come out, and why have we seen IBIS in the ZR but not in the C50? Despite them they're not competitive cameras. They're at different price points with different feature sets. But I just thought it was interesting that they've gone to the trouble to put it in the cheaper ZR, but not in the more expensive, more capable C50.
Yeah, it's an interesting one. I'm really excited about it though. I'm probably one of the few that's like, yes, that doesn't have IBIS.
What about the ZR? Do you look at that? Like, do you shoot with red? Do you own any red cameras? And does the ZR Nikon thing, does that appeal to you in the sense of when it comes to being able to potentially use it as a small camera alongside bigger red cameras?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we do everything from the big stuff all the way through to the small run and gun stuff. So having different price points for clients, we will be interested in buying those smaller cameras and things like that as well. So I think that sort of stuff, I'm excited by the ZR, even as a camera that I can take home and, film shots of the kids and things like that. So I think it's exciting.
One thing that came up the other night, we're talking about all the new Cine cameras. We had Bruce Moyle joining us to help host the show, and because Bruce has, like yourself, he's very much a tech expert and loves gadgets, and he's been in. He was very similar to you in that he was breaking new ground on the internet in the early days, running podcasts and all those sorts of things. One thing he talked about with the ZR was that he could see companies that do commercial advertising buying several of them as potential, cars that cameras that could potentially be broken by whatever it is that we're shooting. I'm getting to my point, I promise. Do you have you ever lost like a camera that was mounted to a car or a bike, as in because I've seen clips where they'll be filming a stunt or they'll be filming an action scene, and the camera will just flip off the rig somehow and it will just be bouncing down the road. Have you ever had that sort of experience?
I've been, touch wood, I'm looking for wood close to me right now. I've had GoPros and things fall off cars, but now from learning from those sorts of things, we always run a tether cable or whatever it is. And, when you're on the bigger sets now, there's usually a safety officer there who's making sure, there's a backup redundancy, there's tether or something on there, because you don't want, a $200,000 camera package falling off a car.
Yeah.
Well, I saw even
else.
The behind the scenes shoot of that Red Bull shoot when you were shooting Chucky. I love how you were like, we've got Daniel Sanders, but I believe some people refer to him as Chucky. Because we know Chucky. We've sort of been around as he's gotten way more competitive on the world stage, and now he's an absolute beast. But yeah, he's always been known as Chucky. No one calls him Dad. I think only his parents like Daniel, and other than that. Anyway, but I saw on that shoot you had a protective like glass, really solid glass filter over the front of the the lens in the gimbal and stuff, and it got smashed with a rock, or didn't actually smash, which is pretty crazy. It must be tough glass. So is that that's the sort of stuff that you do to try and protect on these shoots, protect expensive gear?
Yeah. Absolutely. I mean, look at the lens that we were shooting on there. That would have been a $50,000-$60,000 lens. So at the end of the day, if you put an $80 bit of glass in front of it that protects that front element, that's you want to do everything you can to protect the
insurance,
glass.
isn't it? It's an insurance policy, a physical one. Yeah,
cinema lenses are crazy.
They are crazy.
Everything cinema is just insane. It's scary how much that stuff costs.
Yeah, it ratchets up so fast. But obviously it makes a difference. Otherwise you wouldn't be using it and buying it for these kind of shoots. This might be jumping ahead a little bit, but so you were talking about, you were kind of feeling that you would be crazy not to be shooting some video on these epic still shoots that you were doing. So when did it go from, how did you go from sort of, we should be documenting some of this, to actually being able to offer this to clients at a high level for video? How much work was involved in getting yourself to that level of essentially TV quality?
It's still years. I'm still chasing it now. Still trying to learn every day with that sort of stuff. So I don't think I've made it yet. But yeah, it was a particular Top Gear shoot that we took three supercars out to the desert and drove them on this big dry lake bed. And I thought, why on earth are we not taking a video camera out? So while shooting stills, I had the Canon 5D then as well. So I was like, okay, well, let's start shooting some video. I edited that together, and that went on the Top Gear Facebook page as well. And that was just something that I did on the side. And from that point, it was like, okay, I think I need to start taking this filming stuff a little bit more seriously and learn more.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, wow. How did you go about learning? Did you continue to add it into client work, but without kind of including it too much in the deliverables? It was like, okay, I'm going to do stills, but I'm going to deliver you guys a video as well, so that I can learn and build a portfolio. Is that how you went about it?
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, there was a few shoots that I did initially where it was like, okay, we'll just throw this in for free. And, I was just excited to shoot video, right? It was like starting stills photography all over again. It was learning all new techniques and, ways and thinking about things completely different as well, right? So everything's moving. So in the camera, you want to move as well. But it was pretty quick. I learned fairly early on that you don't give away free stuff, because it doesn't help you, I don't think, in terms of getting more work or exposure, because it just doesn't work. I think I learned that fairly young, that it's either full price or free, and everyone understands why.
Yep. That's a good way to look at it. Because doing favors doesn't pay for the new gear, let alone meals.
No.
Can you dig into that a little bit more? So when you talk about full price or free, and they know why, so you're saying you don't just give them something for free, you would outline what this would normally cost and why I'm doing it for free in this instance, to set an expectation for future shoots, or
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I've even experienced it recently. I shot something for a friend, and the manufacturer posted it but tagged the wrong photographer. So, it's up on big global socials and sits there for a week before they fix that. And you're just like, at least delivering this stuff for free, the least you can do is try and tag the right person.
Yeah.
Wow, man.
But
that's frustrating.
It is what it is, right? And you learn from those mistakes. But I think it's being smart about that sort of stuff. And, at the end of the day, I don't think it's bad producing free work. Because usually when you're doing that, like you said, it's known by both parties. The stuff that I missed the most was, those sorts of jobs where you get to be really creative, and there's no client standing over your shoulder saying, no, I don't like that. There's no other creative on the other side saying, no, let's do this instead. You've got full freedom. It's But I think there's definitely a fine line of shooting yourself and the industry in the foot with that sort of thing.
Yeah, true. It's very true. Just a comment here from Matt.
Yeah,
I got it.
Totally on board. If I ever do free work, they still receive an invoice at full rate, and then I discount 100% to zero, so they know what you're worth. Yeah,
that's cool.
That's a clever way of doing that. Yeah,
Yeah,
It's
smart.
good plan.
yeah.
Cool. Okay. So go on. Sorry, go on.
No, you're excited. You go. Go on.
I could derail this though. I could take it in a whole different direction.
That's not like you.
It's not like me at all. So now I've lost my train of thought. I don't even know what we're talking about.
All right, I derailed you.
So at what point did you realize that this was bigger than a one-person show, and you introduced Cube Productions? Have I got that right? Yep.
Yep.
When did that come into play, and what was the catalyst for that?
I'd been represented by a few people. This is pre-Cube, represented by a few different people, and that it never worked. I found there was always issues. You were never getting paid on time. The people representing you were, I don't want to shit on them too much, but it was like a used car salesman, right? They would try and sell you, and then they'd take a cut, but the cut was humongous and there was no transparency. So it got to a point where I'd been represented by a couple of people, and it hadn't really worked, and they'd irritated existing clients and that relationships. And it was that moment that I found Emma, our producer, worked with her freelance on a job, and just said to her, it got to a point where I was struggling. I was staying up till midnight, burning the candle at both ends, and I thought I've got to make a change here. I can't keep doing this. Got a producer on full time to be producer and then agent to help, drum up more work. So that slowly grew from there, basically.
And how big a team are you running with now at Cube?
There's six of us full time.
Wow. Okay,
That's awesome.
that's impressive.
It's a good roster for the sim racing. So keep things.
You got to get to the
busy.
studio, Justin, and have a lap.
Mate, that would
Road
be
trip.
the dream. I just want to come up there and just poke through. I just want to hold the camera. I've said this to other people too, and I will go to any photographer's studio. I just want to hold the camera and you just talk me through every piece of gear in that room there and why you've got it. And
Hey, mate, more than welcome. Any of you want to come by, just drop past.
Yeah, that is
Thanks,
the dream.
mate.
I will suck terribly at the sim, I'm sure, but I'll have a go. So
We'll practice on
okay,
Tony's.
so 6 people full time. Do you have any outside of that? Do you work with just other businesses and freelancers to fill holes, expand the team when required? But you guys kind of manage it with this core in-house team.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I've tried to keep it small, and I always want to keep it small because I think with the industry, it's always good to be nimble. And then we scale up. So over the last 20 years of meeting people and working with other creatives, I've built up a bit of a roster of different people that I like to work with. So on the bigger jobs, we expand, and then for the smaller jobs, we can just be a core crew.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's clever.
How much of your work do you have to travel for?
Pre-COVID, every second week I was on a plane, and since COVID, everything seems to have consolidated. And I don't know if it's just there's more people in the industry, so there's more choices around Australia and around the world, and obviously the cost of traveling has increased. So 90% of our work now is local. I mean, saying that, we were in New Zealand a week and a half ago, so
That's local.
Most of it's local-ish.
Yeah.
Okay. And how much of it now is automotive versus just everything else?
For me personally, it's probably 70% automotive, but then wider. So Cube has myself as a represented photographer and director. And then we've got Dan De Silva, who's another photographer and photographer and director. He started assisting with me about 10 years ago, and now we're representing him. And then we also have Lawrence Furzy, who's a stills photographer and director that we're representing. So after having all my experiences of being represented by terrible companies and them doing it poorly, I really wanted to, I guess, try and do it right and have all the transparency and all the things that I wished I had the opportunity for. I can do now. Do it right.
Yeah, That's great to hear. I guess because when your creatives don't have to think about that side of it too much, because you know that you're being looked after, then you obviously you naturally would produce better work anyway than being jerked around and, not knowing what's going on, your pay's late, all of that sort of stuff is so impactful on the creative output, I think, anyway.
Totally. Yeah.
I have some questions around. So what have you learnt about marketing in this industry? It's obviously a very, there's only a select number of clients that you're really trying to attract. You're not out there just trying to get any random Jim's weddings to come and pay you to make a video about him or whatever, Jim's boudoir. You're going after, I guess, people at agencies, people like marketing directors at large brands and that kind of thing. And I've seen over the years, I was watching, I think I remember seeing you making metal business cards back in the day.
Yep.
And also like Pelican case promo boxes that have like some of your work in them and some, what else was in there? Do you remember like you made those things to send out? What was the theory behind that?
Try and do that every year or two.
You still do?
Still do it. Still every couple of years we try and do something. It's hard, and I find that as the jobs get bigger, the marketing gets harder. It's reaching the right people. It's all relationships, right? I think the biggest thing I've learned over the years is relationships, and it's once you have your foot in the door, that's always the goal, right? And getting your foot in the door is the hardest thing, especially with agencies and things like that. But yeah, promo material I think is sort of where I've tried to look more and more unique and try and stop people in their tracks. Mm-hmm. So that was a mail out that I did a good few years ago now.
It was over 10 years ago. Do you have any ballpark idea like what these cost per unit, to put this together to send out?
Back then they were cheap. They're expensive now.
Really?
I think the Pelican cases, because I think it was like 50 Pelican cases or something like that. And they ended up being, I can't remember, it would have been like 20 or 30 bucks each. And then the shot glass there was a shot glass that must have been like 10 bucks. And then, the little bit of whiskey or vodka that I was posting out. And then, the business card. And then I had a USB in there as well to actually see the work.
Oh, good USB too. Solid USB. I like those ones. They were highly reliable. The metal Samsungs, maybe, I think. I can't remember.
Yeah. That was them.
Yep. Yeah, we used to use them for the weddings after we got.
I still do.
Do we?
Yeah.
Do you?
Yeah.
We used to use. We got these. Or I got them. It might have been pre-gym. These wooden USBs back in the day. Wooden USBs were all the rage, and you could get your logo on them and stuff like that. We got them made, and they were terrible. They were slow and shit, and we were like, never again. We don't care if people don't think we're the cool, wooden USB wedding photographers, but we're putting these on like proper,
legit,
fast, legit USBs from proper
because they were slow, and most of them failed.
Yeah, some of them they failed like crazy. Like never again. Anyway, so it's good to see we're on the right track there as well. Okay, so it's been something that you've continued to do to cut through the noise and try and get people's attention in these unique positions. Is it mainly agencies? Like how do you get this work?
That's a tricky question, and I'm still trying to work it out. It's a battle, especially with the agency side of things. People that work in agencies only seem to work there for 3-4 years and then move on. So by the time you feel like you've got your foot in the door, they've left, and you have no other contacts there. So it's very difficult. And the advice I still give out is just go bang on doors. Like just try and have as many conversations. Try and drum up as much as you can. But it's hard. I guess it's hard to cut through, right? Because there's so many people out there trying to do the same thing. So a lot of them just, you'll send them an email, it'll go straight to junk. So that was the idea behind the mail outs, is just try and get people to take notice that we're, trying to do things a bit differently.
Yeah. Can I ask you a question, please, Chris? With given where you are now in terms of your experience and your output and the sort of clients that are looking for your work, what is this? What is the balance between jobs that you proactively go after versus those that come looking for you?
It's more and more difficult to find jobs that I want to do in terms of being paid to do them. I mean, we've got to a point now where we're essentially a bit of an agency here, so we can come up with creative for brands and things like that. So, for example, Yamaha, working with them and just, coming up with ideas. So that those sorts of clients are the best for me. They're the ones that get me really excited because they're keen to work with us. But it's probably a slim percentage. I mean, we're trying now every year to create a personal project, and it's something that I've kicked myself over the years for not doing enough of. Because I'm a big believer in, whatever you put out in the world is what you're going to attract. So I think, we're trying to more and more. I mean, we've been doing a lot of sort of longer or sort of short form documentary work, storytelling stuff that's beyond automotive, which I really enjoy. Because as you guys know, you get pigeonholed in this industry very quickly as, the car guy or the wedding guy or whatever it might be.
Yep. Yeah, breaking out of that, I guess, particularly into storytelling, the documentary style. I guess people wouldn't naturally see those two go hand in hand. So you've really got to, I guess, push that to the front if you want to attract more of that work in the future. Would now be, I kind of want to play your show. I want to dig in. So in the back half of the show, I want to look at some of your work, maybe hear you tell us some stories about the shoots that, behind the scenes of those photos and things like that, or even just anything that pops into your mind. But I kind of want to play your show reel, but this is the Cube show reel. So this would be, it's a Cube show reel 2024. I'm assuming the stuff that's in this could have been shot by number of people on your team, or even not even shot by your team. Is that possible as well? Like you guys have had a part in it, but not even necessarily operated the cameras for the shoot?
I think from memory, every shot that's in there is either myself or Dan that we've shot. So most of everything in there is by us.
All right. I don't know how this is going to work, but I'm going to see how it goes, because I don't want it to look small, but it kind of looks small. Nope, that's not going to work. Oh, it works. Okay. Let's see what happens.
There you go.
Oh, shit.
That's awesome.
Insane.
That's so awesome.
What
And
do
is that
you
something
feel
put
when you
together
watch
every year? Or, sorry, you go, Justin.
Oh, I just want to know what you feel when you watch that back, knowing everything that's gone into every single one of those shots to put that together. What goes into your head when you see that?
I could do it so much better now.
I knew you were going to say that. I knew you were like,
I think every photographer thinks the same way in that way, right? You're always looking at it and critiquing it and going, oh, I could do it so much better now. There's a lot of stuff in there that I could definitely do better. And, and I guess I watch it and think, oh God, I've listened to that song way too many times. When you edit stuff like that, it's, you sit there and you hear it and you shudder.
Yeah. So did you edit that? You did, or you?
Yeah, I edited that one.
Team? Did you? Yeah.
Yeah, I edited that one. Yep.
Wow. Yeah, it's amazing. And like for us watching it, it's just like every shot's just like wow, and you're just trying to keep up with the pace of a showreel. And yeah, I can't believe you're watching it thinking could have done that better. I
mean, that's pessimistic me. Optimist me is, we've done some crazy stuff, and it's so cool that we get to do that stuff.
Yeah.
Do you often hover between those two states of mind where you have to be I guess proud of what you've done, confident in your own abilities, able to land the next client because you know that you guys can produce amazing work, but then also looking at it and going, we could have done better. We need to push harder and improve. How do you balance those two mindsets?
I think it's exactly how you described it. You're always thinking, shit, I could have done that better. But at the same time, you're like, I know what we're capable of. We just need those opportunities to show everyone what we can do. So I think I'm always dancing between the two, but I think any good photographer probably feels the same way, right? Like that's what makes you a good photographer. You can be critical of your own work and try and improve. And that's, for me, that's the excitement. I mean, I still get just as excited on set as I did when I was 18 now. It's always good fun.
Yeah, it's a good sign, isn't it, that you're still doing the right thing in life?
Yeah, absolutely. If I didn't get paid, I'd still be having the best time ever.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's definitely, I completely agree. It's always been that, you could, in 1 minute, you could be feeling like you're the king of the world, the best photographer ever. And then the next minute you're like, damn, I suck. I can't, and you just,
how did I do that?
You oscillate between those two thoughts. And I think it's that push and pull that drives you to be better. And stay at it. Because if it was only negative all the time, you would probably quit. If you always felt like you sucked, you'd probably give up. You have to have those moments where you're like, wow, we did a good job.
That's what I
there, boss.
Oh yeah, sorry. Sorry, go on, Chris.
I was going to say that's the exciting thing with film. I find is photography. It's always a much smaller crew. There's less equipment, that sort of thing. But the film side of things is exciting because it's such a joint venture with everybody involved. So, the team, it's a massive team effort. So it's always exciting when everybody's excited on set. And I think that's what I probably love about the industry so much is just everybody that you meet in the industry just loves what they do. It's rare that you have someone who's a bit of a dick in our industry because everybody's just passionate about it and they enjoy their work. And, if you added up the hours and looked at it from a business point of view, you'd be like, why are we doing this? This is crazy. It doesn't add up. Yeah. So I think the video side of things is exciting because it's a huge team effort to make those sorts of shots happen.
Yeah. Shots by Jack wants to know, I'd love to know your file structure, what your file structure must be like to deal with this kind of showreel and how you manage it all so effectively. It's a good question.
It is a good question. 10 years ago, I did it very differently. It was just hard drives on the desk and, labeled job numbers. But I guess one of the things that I learned through assisting was being organized with all this sort of stuff and redundancy. You always got to have backups. So it was very early on, I learned that you would number jobs, you'd try and structure things smartly and make it easier for 3 years down the track. If you want to find something, you can search for it and find it. So, I mean, now we've got a big 200 terabyte server that everything sits on, and then we back it up from there. Especially with all the video stuff, it's just, you'll go out, you'll shoot 4 or 5 terabytes in a day easily with the big cinema cameras, which is, scary how quick you chew through media, and you have to be really organized at that point. So, in terms of what we do, come back from a shoot, we always straight after the shoot or on the shoot have a double backup. And then from there, we pop it on the server. The job then gets, shot, edited, and then it's probably a week or so later, we'll then make another double backup off the server. One will live on site here at the studio, and the other one I'll take home as redundancy. But it's expensive, and it's all those little things that clients and people don't understand the cost involved in that sort of stuff. And
they don't see it.
The internet in Australia is still so shit that you can't actually upload this stuff. It's to take too long. And then the cost of I looked into the cost of getting fiber to the warehouse here, and it's $1,200-$1,500 a month. It's just not worth it. So we've stuck with the old 3.5-inch spinning drives as a backup.
Right. So you literally just you put like a single job on a big 3.5-inch drive or something, and that's the backup.
So we'll go everything to the server, and then from there we'll buy sort of 15 terabyte 3.5-inch drives, and then however many jobs we can fit on that, and then split it in two and have a double copy of that.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. Because because otherwise, what the other option would be to have another 200 terabyte server offsite,
which we still want to do. Really, we'd love to have another 200 terabyte server on site. Would be ideal, so we could have an additional form of redundancy. Because every time we've got an IT guy that comes past, and every time we talk to him, he's like, all those spinning drives were made in the one batch, right? And he always puts the fear of God in me. And it's just like, if one fails, it doesn't mean that they're not all going to fail. So I'm always stressing in the background.
Did he set that up?
Yeah, so I bought the server, and prior to this, I had little NAS desktop, drives. But as Cube has grown, we could have a project where three of us are working on the same project at once. So one person will be editing, the other person will be in another room color grading, and then the other person might be doing audio. So the server made sense to allow us to collaborate on projects like that. But it still always stresses me out. Data is one of those things where especially on the big jobs where it's hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of production, and if you lose something, it's your ass on the line.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. I mean, so that Red Bull shoot, for example, like it's not easy to do a reshoot. It's not
it
like,
just wouldn't. It wouldn't happen.
That's what I was going to say. Let alone the money. Like push that aside, which is crazy for your business. But then even if you're like, okay, now we've got to pay to have a reshoot, and they're like, no, we can't do it. There is no, we cannot line this up again. Those people aren't going to be available for a year.
It's that, and then it's you're closing roads, so you need a month prior to be able to lock all that in, and the amount of logistics on that shoot in particular was humongous. So it's that sort of stuff is nerve-wracking.
Yeah.
How do you go about quoting stuff like that? That's just a huge job. There's just so many moving parts.
It's like a spinny wheel or a dartboard, and you just
it's difficult, but spray and pray. No, we were like, it depends. It depends. Some of the times we get clients coming to us with, "Hey, we've got X amount. This is our budget. What can we do for this?" Other times it's, "Hey, can you quote for this?" And we'll do 3 quotes, and one will be small budget with a smaller crew, medium budget with a medium crew, big budget with big crew, locking down roads, all that sort of stuff. So I find that the 3 quote thing works quite well, because at least it gives people, and it starts a conversation more than anything of, a lot of the time you'll say up front, what's your budget? And some people are cagey about it, and it's tricky because at the end of the day, we always say that, we just want to create the best thing we can for that budget. So we're not here to make millions of dollars. We just want to, make cool stuff.
Mm-hmm. Well, you mentioned earlier that was, so you have like having your own cameras is a benefit to you being able to adjust the pricing or not have to rent out equipment as well. And then you said that having multiple levels of camera can allow you to price the product or the service differently. Say if it's a smaller client, you'd be like, hey, we're not going to bring out the most expensive cinema camera and lens. We'll just bring this potato out and film it on that. Is that how you if a client is like, "Cool, that's not the budget that we were hoping for. Is there anything we can do to pull the price down?" Is that one of the tools that you use? Is equipment?
Yeah, absolutely. Equipment, and I I mean, it depends on the job. Like you're saying before, if those jobs that I'm really excited about, I might end up bringing along the big cinema camera,
Anyway.
just because I know it's something that could be portfolio worthy or, showreel worthy.
Mm.
But yeah, I think it's from my perspective, it's always been a smart choice to offer those different tiers, and it depends on the output as well, where it's ending up as well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
I don't
so
have a
many
lot of
factors,
options.
isn't
Yeah, I don't have a lot of options with cameras, but maybe I'll start using that if people are like,
What?
oh, it's a bit
How
more
many
than I
cameras
was
have you
expecting.
got?
Yeah, but I'll
You've
just
got
be
at
like,
least 3 times more than me.
yeah, but
And I've
I
got
don't have
3.
I don't have any cheaper ones. I'll just say I can
Well,
shoot it on my
throw
phone.
me a river.
If you want, I'll bring the price
And
down. I'll just bring my phone.
That's probably more cinema, whereas stills.
yeah.
No, stills is probably one of the areas where I still do rent. So we've
Ooh,
got
tell us about that.
Sony stuff that we shoot on mostly now, and you mentioned before I was Canon, and then in that group that I was talking about, the Facebook group, there was a few guys that were shooting Sony at the time, and I looked at it and thought, wow, the specs are crazy. That's 40 megapixels. That's impressive. But the camera body, I don't like it. I'm going to stick with my Canon. But it got to a point where eventually I was like, all right, I've got to try this out. And I remember Sony doing a deal with, I think it was a Metabone, so you could adapt all your Canon glass to it. And I was like, this is a smart move. I'll jump in and give that a go. But yeah, it's interesting with that sort of stuff of just, I'm not really brand loyal in that way. I'll go wherever is going to produce the best results.
Yeah,
Interesting.
I can't remember the question you asked me now.
That seems to be a common theme amongst cinematographers that we've interviewed and even just mates that we have, that at that level, when you are calling yourself, say, a cinematographer or director of photography, whatever it may be, that you become agnostic to the brand. I think Lee Herbert used that word in his interview, that he's agnostic, and it is about what is the best tool for the job, the budget, the conditions, the outcome, where it's going. All of those sorts of things are going to play into that, aren't they?
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, I'm going to put a pin in the stills gear because I want to find out more about what you shoot with. If a job come up today, what you pick from and stuff like that. But there's a couple of questions first in the chat. First of all, Shots by Jack wanted to just clarify. So if you're editing, if there's a few of you editing, are you editing footage that's referenced directly from the server, or do you transfer it onto like a local drive and edit from that?
No, so we've got a system where we've got 10 gigabit Ethernet ports at each desk. Everyone plugs into it. Everyone can access the server at once, and everyone can edit straight off the server. So editing directly off the server.
Wow.
And what are you using? DaVinci Resolve or?
Yeah, so years ago we were using a bit of a mix, but DaVinci Resolve now is so good, and I got sick of bloody Premiere crashing every 10 minutes and Googling different errors and things like that. So jumped over to DaVinci, and now we're all on that for video.
Yeah, nice. And another question from, I think is that Geordie Lillis? What do you got on your shoulder there? Looks like a cinema camera of some sort. In such a competitive industry, how do you find maintaining relationships with other similar creatives and mates that are all essentially competing over the same work?
I think the industry is so small that you got to not shit where you eat. At the end of the day, it's such a small industry, and there's been so many people that have helped me out over the years. I think you just got to try and work as collaboratively as possible. I've worked with Geordie as well. He's a legend.
Oh, nice. Very cool. Okay.
Geordie was actually on that Red Bull job.
Really? Doing what?
Okay.
He was running camera, so he was on long lens most of it.
Okay. So how many of, like, what was your team for that shoot? I know you said you were part of a larger crew that was being directed by someone else. What was your team? How big was that?
We came in just as the tracking vehicle team and drone. So there was 3 of us. Yeah, myself, Dan, and Ollie.
Yeah. Do you fly the drones anymore? I know you used to. You still do the drone stuff?
Yep, still every now and then, depending on the scale of the job and what's happening. I still love yeah, at the end of the day, I love being on the tools and flying drones. I got into them fairly early on. Had everything from the big heavy lift stuff through to the smaller stuff, and yeah, now we've just got like an Inspire 3, which is perfect for 99% of the stuff we do. And anything that's bigger than that, then we just reach out to a third party for that.
Yeah, that's isn't it insane how well, from the outside looking in, how much simpler that level of drone cinematography has got than what it was in like building your own or getting a custom built octocopter thing, like to be able to lift a full size camera, and now you can just get an Inspire 3 out of the box and get pretty insane footage. It's incredible how quickly that stuff is developed and how many opportunities it's open for shots and creativity. It's really cool.
And some of those bigger drones are just insane. Like just recently I saw on socials of them using a drone to lift people out of a flood area.
Really?
The drone was big enough and strong enough to pull, I don't know if it was a child or just it looked like a very smallish person, but they used the drone to actually lift them up with a harness and get them to the bank.
It's crazy. Yeah.
And, 4K footage the whole way, of course, but no.
Oh, that's insane. I wonder what the payload capacity is. You can just imagine where they're flying over and they're like, not that one, not that one. We can probably save that one.
Some of the agriculture drones, I think, they can carry up to like 100 kilos. Some of them.
Oh, it's nuts.
Yeah.
Really big ones. Yeah.
It's scary flying. I've never flown anything that big, but even when we had the big octocopter, flying that with a camera package on it, you would just quietly shit in your pants.
Yeah.
It's scary.
That's a lot of money flying around.
Yeah, absolutely.
And potential for it to land on somebody is also stressful.
Or something.
Or something, yeah.
But just the amount of like lost drone stories you see and hear, especially even just doing this gig and knowing a bunch of people that are in the business, the amount of people who drop a drone, and have to go on a very long bushwalk to find it. It's phenomenal. It's nerve-wracking, I'm sure.
I'm pretty good at flying mine into trees. Doing mountain bike shoots with drones is trickier than you would think when you're not like, I'm not like an FPV, pilot. I don't have the dexterity to do that. So I'm just like trying, and it's because it's just me too. You're like watching the screen trying to get the shot, so you stop, you sort of lose track of where your drone is.
Don't say that. Castle will come and
I know.
get angry.
I said I was doing this and looking at both. Leave me alone, Cassie. Your rules are silly. And there was no one around, and we hit a tree. We're on private property, private airspace. We're inside.
Let's move on.
Keep digging.
Stop now.
It's all just for comedy. This is a comedy show. None of what we say is real. Yeah. Should we look at some of your work and talk about it? I think we should.
Did you want to talk about stills? I can touch briefly on cameras and stuff.
I would like to. Yes, I really would. So tell us about cameras now. So you've got some Sony cameras that you own that you could shoot stills with in your studio there?
Yeah. So over the years, the resolution and everything has become so good that, back in the day, it was like you shot medium format. If it was anything commercial, you shot medium format. Whereas I find now the Sony stuff and all the manufacturers now are doing such good jobs with latitude and megapixels and things like that, that you don't necessarily need to always jump to medium format. If I could for every shoot, I'd love to. It's the different look. The resolution's always crazy and the dynamic range is epic. But I find that the gap between medium format and 35mm stills now has shrunk a little bit more. So 90% of the time we're just shooting on, I've got a couple of the Sony A1s, and that camera is just brilliant. Love it.
Yeah. Yeah, enough resolution for your high-end work, but still fast enough that if it's an action shoot, it's no problem kind of thing. Yeah. Best of both worlds.
It's the one camera that does it all.
Yeah.
So I've seen on your old Instagram stuff, I've seen photos of a phase 1 kit, I think. Did you go down the medium format path of owning years ago when there was a bigger difference, or have you always rented medium format?
I've always rented the medium format stuff, and yeah, it's always been a tough line. There's been a bunch of times where I was like, all right, I'm going to go buy a full medium format kit. But it's just, yeah, it's a big ask on something that I don't do enough of. If I was doing huge commercial stuff every day where I required it and the client was requesting it, I'd buy one tomorrow. But yeah, I just find that
what would you buy?
The 35mm stuff is good. I'd definitely go phase 1, I think.
Would you? Really?
Yeah.
They're just a quiet little achiever, aren't they? You never see advertising for them. You never, like, you hear a lot about Hasselblad and the GFX, and but phase 1 is such a quiet achiever.
Who makes the GFX?
Yeah, I've shot with.
Hey?
Who makes the GFX?
I can't hear. I've lost my volume.
I said, who makes the GFX?
Yeah.
Oh, Fujifilm, $1.20. Cha-ching. Thank you.
Greg's on the Fujifilm payroll.
They pay him to mention it on this podcast as often as he possibly can. That's why his background light is green.
So is yours.
It's also white turns off halfway through the podcast.
Yeah, that's true. So phase 1 in general, I guess, is the highest end. Is it?
Well, this is the thing. I don't even know anymore because we shoot so much with the Sonys. I haven't really kept track of what's going on. I know Hasselblad launched their new mirrorless medium format thing the other day that looks epic. I'd love to play around with those things, but I haven't had, I guess, the need for it or the desire to chase it too much.
Yeah. This is what's interesting. So, do any camera brands or cinema like camera brand, any brands ever want to get involved with the stuff that you guys do, or are you not present enough on the World Wide Web because you're too busy just doing client work that camera brands aren't sort of knocking on your door saying, hey, you should use our gear or whatever?
I wish if there's any camera brands out there, give us a call. No, I mean, I probably slept on the social stuff at the start way too much. I was always head down, bum up, trying to shoot as much as I can, and looked at the social stuff and thought, it's not worth my time or effort. Whereas now I think it's probably worth your time and effort. The amount of clients and things like that don't comment, they don't like the image or video, whatever it is, but they'll bring it up in a conversation 2 weeks later and you'd be blown away that they're actually on there. Paying attention. So it's probably, one of the things I regret is not jumping on social earlier and trying to make a bit more of a presence there.
Yeah.
It's not too late.
Yeah.
It's not too late. And look, we'll keep doing it. So, I mean, there's brands out there that'll help us. But I'm still waiting for a deal to come along would be great. Someone to come in and look, I wouldn't take a deal unless I love the product and use the product. I mean, Broncolor is one of the ones back in the day that helped me out when buying a kit. And I love their stuff. It's epic. It works really well. And that's not me saying it because they helped me out. It's just, I've literally had the same kit now for years and it's been an absolute workhorse.
Wow.
Can I ask you a question? From your experience and in your particular genre, is there something that the Sony A1 is lacking that you wish it had?
Probably more of a professional body in terms of ergonomics and weather sealing. But in saying that, I've shot in the bucketing down rain with it and it's been fine. So genuinely, I'm definitely a gadget person and I struggle to think, like the A1 II came out and I was like, I don't really need to jump on that because there's not enough of a bump technology wise for me to consider it. But I don't know. It's a good question. I'll have to think about it. Let me come back to you.
If there's nothing that's because, often we speak to photographers, even just, when we're out and about and there'll be something about their camera that, I just wish it had this or,
it overheats for video. There's one of the issues.
There it is. There it is.
I mean, I don't work for any camera brands and, Greg gets his dollar every time he says the word Fujifilm, but
I wish
if I was
lucky straps. There
you go.
If I was Fujifilm and I had just heard that segment, I would be sending you a GFX kit and when it comes out, one of those new GFX Eterna 55 cinema cameras, and I'd be like, we want you to use this shit on this level of production. That's what I would be doing if I was them. Because a GFX kit it's not insanely expensive. It's not expensive like a phase 1 kit is. And it's that next level up, 100 megapixels, insane, like sharpness. The lenses are insane. And they got that new cinema camera coming that is going to be obviously the start of their entire cinema range. So if I was them, if I worked for Fujifilm, I would be knocking on Chris's door.
Greg might know a guy.
Yeah, I know.
We can just clip this.
I don't want to say negative things about Fujifilm, but they seem to lean more towards the influencer market.
Yeah,
for promotion of stuff.
I think that's probably where the money is as well, right? And I'm shooting myself in the foot here, but it's the same with DJI and things like that. It's the prosumer, semi-professionals where they're plugging it, and it's the achievable equipment that makes the money the most.
Yeah, and their marketing is designed to make you feel like you can achieve pro quality outcomes, and it's a money game. It's a marketing game. Fujifilm at the moment is heavily invested in that kind of youth demographic, especially in Asia. But we're seeing like creator summits, and Green Blooded is their current promotion. I just went to a collaboration a couple of weeks ago with Fujifilm and Converse. Obviously Converse is a relatively youthful brand, so they're really pushing into that youth marketers. And because maybe they see it as an opportunity, there's people that have never had their first camera but have only been shooting on their phone, and they're really trying to influence people into that market to say, hey, you can actually have a better experience, not necessarily a better image quality, but a better experience than your new iPhone, So, I mean, the iPhone 17, what's it got, a 48 megapixel front facing camera? Like, that's insane.
Oh, it's epic. It's so cool being able to, everyone gets to shoot now, right? And at a high level.
Yeah.
Do you ever get tempted by the iPhone specs for video and stuff like that? Like, I know there'd be no point in using it because you've got crazy cameras there, but whenever they release these new iPhones, there's always someone that makes like a crazy high-end commercial with the iPhone or whatever. You always see that stuff come out.
Shot on iPhone.
Shot on iPhone.
Yeah.
Does that stuff ever tempt you, or are you just like, it's not really?
I think like anything, it's 90% lighting, blocking, camera movement. It's less about the tech, right? So it's about light and framing, really. At the end of the day, I think you could shoot 90% of stuff on a small little mirrorless, and you'd get 80% of the quality of what you want.
Yeah.
But I'm a gadget whore. I love all that stuff, so I'm always looking.
Exactly. Let's look at some photos.
Yeah.
I was just this is just the stuff from your personal stills portfolio on the Q Productions website. From these images, is there any that stand out that you have a cool story about, or anything that comes to mind?
Well, that was that Top Gear shoot I was talking about on the right. That was sort of one of the first ones where I shot a little bit of video on. That was just fun because it was one of those pinch yourself jobs. We got to drive all the cars. It's not often you get to drive a supercar on a dry lake bed, and have freedom in terms of shooting as well. These are the days that I really miss, where it was like we had, the journalists organizing the shoot. Glenn Butler was the journalist I was on with that. He organized that, and it was just a wild idea that he had. And he was like, hey, let's take these cars out here and write a story about it. But that was, it was one of those ones where you go out there, there's no client sitting over your shoulder. It's like, okay, well, we need a cover image for the magazine. We need, a couple of nice shots of each car. Let's go do it. Those were the dream days of work.
Yeah. And can I ask a question? Was that the real Stig, or was that a stand-in?
as real as the Stig gets, I guess.
Yeah,
I do remember trying to put the helmet on and thinking, holy shit, this thing stinks. I'm not putting that on. I've been on too many shoots.
Yeah, never takes it off.
That's so
but that was one where I don't even know. I should tell the story. I have to tell it now that I've said that.
You do.
we shot everything. We got everything. The cars were amazing. We got all these incredible shots and a bit of video as well. And on the return, we're driving, and it was like a 150 kilometer drive on dirt roads. So we're crawling these things along. We've got one support vehicle with one front spare tire and one rear spare tire for each car, and that was it. And driving along, and I think we got a flat on the back of the Porsche. So, okay, we stop, jack it up, change that. We then drive another 40 kilometers. Front tire on the Porsche goes down. Okay, we stop, swap that. And then it was probably, I don't know, another 20 Ks down the road. The sump plug in the R8 fell out because it's a dry sump. When it's running, it was fine. But as soon as we stopped, turned the car off, it just dumped all its oil out. So we're out in the middle of the outback, and this would have been, 4 o'clock in the afternoon. We've gone, oh shit, what are we going to do? How are we going to fix this? So the guys jumped in the support vehicle in the Nissan and kept going down the road while we looked around to, what can we find? And I ended up finding a bolt in the jack that I brought with me that fit in the hole for the sump plug. So we're like, okay, well, you guys go into town, which was, 100 Ks down the road, try and get some oil and come back. So at that point, the Nissan and the Porsche went off. And we were sitting there with the Audi. But what we didn't know is, over the hill a little bit further down, another tire went on the Porsche. So now we had another flat tire on the Porsche with no spare, no way to get anywhere. So they ended up getting stuck further down. The guys ended up driving, the support vehicle into town, managing to get some oil at least, but there was no spare tires or anything. So we ended up leaving us on the side of the road in the Audi R8, in the middle of absolutely nowhere. We had one car drive past us and be like, what are you guys doing out here? And we were there into the night, thinking, oh my God, we're going to be stuck out here forever and die. But long story short, we got the oil, we managed to get the tire repaired on the Porsche and drive there and back and, swap it and take it all back. But yeah, it was one of those fun shoots that I'll never forget.
Oh, that is awesome.
They made you work for it, that's for sure.
Yeah. Oh, that's so cool.
Yeah.
Well, what stories are going to be able to top that? What else are we? So on.
There's a story with every shot, like anything, right? There's all sorts of fun stories.
But like on these sorts of shots, these like I don't know what you'd. Hang on, let me find that one. These sort of really, I guess, what would you call this? Like polished lifestyle catalog shots. Like, what goes into this kind of shoot?
Those ones are. There's a lot of work that goes into them. Obviously, from finding the location to getting client approval, it's a huge process. So the client will usually come to us and say, we want something that feels modern and sleek, or it might, need to feel rustic and old. So it'll start with us putting forward locations and location scouting, looking for things like that. And then obviously the shoot itself, it's, getting there at the right time of day. So we'll go out and work out exactly what time we need to be there, schedule a day around it, schedule the shots around the day. I guess, you can't be too organized with this sort of stuff. And it's expensive when you've got a big-ish crew there. This one was fairly small, but like the house in the background, that wasn't actually there.
Oh, really?
So there's, a heap of posts that goes into it. Yeah. So the actual white parking structure that cars parked under was there, but the house off to the left of frame wasn't actually there.
Oh, wow. What about the palm trees? Were they there?
Palm trees were there from memory, yeah.
Okay. So whose vision is it to add the house? Who comes up with that, where they're like, we need to make this, like, is that there from the beginning, or is that something that evolves through the shoot and in post, where you're like, this will be more compelling, this will be a better, how does that happen?
It usually evolves, and this one was my idea. I was like, okay, I think we need something to balance the left side of the shot, and I was working on the post on this one, so I was just tinkering away and literally dragging and dropping things in the background and thinking, oh, that works, that doesn't. What works light-wise? What have we got on file that could work? Or if I'm on set.
No. Yeah, okay. Next.
But usually when you're shooting this stuff, you're seeing what's missing, and usually if we've got the time and the budget to do it, I'll be looking for background plates that we'll be shooting at the same time. So, if that house was there, I'll go grab a shot of it, make sure we're shooting at the same sort of light so it's going to match and be easier to drop in and post.
Yep.
Wow.
That's amazing.
Right. Let's just, I'll bring that stuff back up in a second. I have a question to ask you about a very controversial topic.
Oh.
So prepare yourself. We might get cancelled.
Already.
What do you think about AI? Are you using it? And in what parts of your current business is it being used, and what tech are you keeping an eye on for the future?
Sorry, the compressor's going off in the background. Yeah. We'll give that a couple of seconds. I'll wait for it.
Have you got like an air-powered camera or something?
No, we just got a compressor in the corner for just cleaning off camera gear.
Oh, that's next level.
Wow.
I've got one of those rocket blowers. I've got like a little puffer. You've got an air compressor.
Wow.
In a tank. That's awesome.
You gotta have the right tools for the right job.
Clearly.
I'll wait for it to finish and then I'll answer. I don't know how loud it is for you guys. There we go.
Oh,
there it is.
Nice. So
look, AI. How deep do you want me to jump into this? Because there's so many levels, right?
Yeah.
Let's go.
Beyond our industry of photography and film, it scares the shit out of me. I think we're fucked, to be honest, to be brutally honest. And the more and more I lean into it and read about it and listen to things about it, it scares the hell out of me because I don't know where we're going. There doesn't seem to be any sort of safeties in place for this. So beyond the industry, it scares the hell out of me. In the industry, still scares the hell out of me. We're still using it like it's going out of fashion. It's super handy, right? Like at the moment, it's another tool that we're using, whether it's for storyboarding, whether it's for creating mood boards, presenting things to clients for ideation, that sort of thing. Using it as much as we can. It's another tool is the way I'm seeing it at the moment. But I think beyond the industry, it probably scares me the most of, what's going to happen for everybody and everybody's jobs. And it shits me to tears if I'm being completely honest, because why can't it steal the boring ass jobs? Why does it have to come after the creative stuff, right?
Yeah. Why
can't it wash the dishes for me or, do something, fold the clothes, do something useful?
Yeah.
Whereas it comes after the one, if you'd asked me 10 years ago, do I think, our jobs will be taken? I would have said, the creative industry will never be replaced. So there's so many things we can jump into with this topic, right? And it's, I guess it's being talked about lots. And I try and look at it with a positive hat.
Yeah. So you're trying to look at it as like, okay, what can we utilize? Where can it help me day to day? Where's it going? But there's this like looming undercurrent of dread.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. And I think we see it a lot with software, like editing software, especially. There's all of these new brands and products that are being made available to photographers for cropping, for editing, for subject removal, subject replacement, sky replacement. Like it's almost like taking Photoshop and just automating everything. You can change the shape of a person's body. You can change their skin color. You can add makeup.
I put you on a mountaintop, Greg, as an explorer.
Yeah.
I recolored Greg. Tell me how much do you know about black and white, Chris? Like black and white photos?
A little bit, probably not enough.
A little bit. Am I just thinking about this completely wrong? Is there something in black and white images that references color definitively? Because I asked it to recolor a black and white image of Greg. This was Google's Nano Banana. Have you played with Nano Banana?
I haven't yet, but I've been looking at it pretty closely.
Yeah, it's pretty advanced. So I just threw a black and white shot of Greg in there. It was a JPEG, and I don't think there's any like data being carried with it. But like, it knew Greg's beard had a bit of ginger in it. You know, like it knew. So he had this top on, and it recolored this Lucky Straps logo, which you can buy these t-shirts on luckystraps.com. And it recolored it to gold.
Yeah.
Like it got
the
the gold right.
pastiness of my skin. Like it got the pasty level right.
The only thing it got wrong, I think the camera strap was the wrong color. I think Greg had a different, slightly
Usually
different
have black,
tone or black, and it went to brown or something like that. But everything else looked accurate, and I'm like, how did it do that?
Scary.
Yeah, interesting. I don't think any color stuff would be transferred over, right? Once you desaturate it, I don't imagine there would be any information saved there.
That's what I thought. Other than it knowing, like, in general, something that's this tone, this level of grey is probably this kind of, one of these colors. But yeah.
But my t-shirt could have been red. That would have shown up as black in a black and white shot. But it just knew to go black with gold.
It was bizarre.
What are your thoughts on AI, guys?
Well, look, I'm a photographer and a writer, so I'm doubly fucked. I can't win. I thought, this is going to be a safe, comfortable, end of life career kind of stuff. I'll just keep doing this for a while, and not end of life, end of career stuff. I'm not going anywhere. Sorry, fucking wrong. Shit. Yeah, I've been meaning to tell you boys, this is the last episode. No. We've talked about this on the show quite a lot, and even just outside of talking to industry friends and that. My issue with AI is that it's unregulated. Okay, and the people that are trying to tell us that it's safe are the people that own it. The people that are telling us that it's effective, that it's flawless, that it's whatever it is. You see the ads for companies, and they're throwing around the term AI like it's the next great evolution of business. And yes, it will influence it, but they're promoting a product that is still fundamentally flawed. And they're trying to tell people this can replace your scheduling, this can replace your HR processes. Like they're telling people it can do everything, and it's unregulated. And I think. Sorry,
I was going to say it's hard. It's hard because you don't want to be left behind, but at the same time, you don't want to help train the model, right? Because you're shooting yourself in the foot.
Yeah. And there's a lot we don't know about. What our images that we drop on Facebook or Instagram, are they being harvested and used for AI learning? And I know they have to disclose all that, but as a social media user, you don't go looking through the T's and C's to work it out. You're either on or you're not. But I think for me, the biggest concern.
My tin fat coil is firmly fastened.
Good. My biggest, probably one of my fundamental issues with AI is that unregulation, but also the impacts it has on young people. We've seen stories, and I've written about this and spoken about this at length, but we've seen stories of kids basically using a selfie or the teacher's profile shot on the school website and putting them into porn and lingerie and boudoir settings, and thinking it's funny, or fellow students. And I think there's a real risk there.
Even when I heard
they're not even using Photoshop back in the day, like if you were going to do this stuff and put your teacher's head on a naked lady, you at least need to learn Photoshop first.
Yeah. But now you can just say, hey, take this photo.
You're developing a life skill.
But well, you are. It's very true. But so we're seeing some of that nefarious use of it. My partner, who's a lecturer at a university, the amount of the amount of cheating for written content and assignments, and the universities all have these bots that kind of check it for AI, but they can't always definitively prove it. So often
you've got AI bots to clean up.
AI
track as well, right?
I mean, there are
race.
She's told me some horror stories, but also some funny stories where a student has used AI to write an essay and find references. And this is another example of where it's not ready. AI isn't as clever as you think. It couldn't find the references, so it made them up. It just made them to look convincing. And of course, they got caught up on that. And
Yeah.
the staff spoke to the student, and the student was given an opportunity to resit because that's the policy of the school. And they just went and used AI again. It just made up new references.
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
It's not as clever as people think it is or are led to believe it is. Yes.
I think I think that's true. But you look at how quick it's actually, the bell curve of its development, and as it learns and gets better, it's not a progressive graph that slowly goes like this. It goes whoop and then goes vertical, right? So I think it's going to progress very quick. I even heard the other day of a kid using it to record his parents' voice to be able to then call the school to call in sick by using his parents' voice. And it wasn't till the third or fourth day that he called in to be sick that the teachers actually called the parent and said, just checking in to see how he's going. And the parent's gone, I had no idea.
Yeah.
So
see, that's clever. That
there's
kid
all
should
sorts
get a
of things,
government
right?
job. That's so clever.
That kid's either going to be very, very successful or
In prison.
criminal.
he's gone
Yeah.
places.
One or the other.
So I think it's AI is an amazing tool. It is still very dumb. We use it a lot. So we've been trying to find ways to use it to speed up workflow for tasks that aren't the core of what we do. So for this podcast, for example, I'm like, can it do chapters for the podcast? Sometimes it's really, really dumb, and it just spits out chapters that are complete
all over the
nonsense. All over the shop. It'll stop 3/4 of the way. It does all sorts of dumb shit. But it can speed things up. What it's really great from for this podcast is I've been getting it to go through the transcript and find quotes from. I'll get it to find quotes that you said that are relevant to insightful things, and going through that and making note of those quotes for a human would take quite a bit of time, and it seems very, very good at pulling that out. But what we're really sort of trying to our framework for AI is like use it to enhance the core of what we do, but do not let it enter into being the core of what we do. As in, we're not going to make a podcast with AI. We're not going to let the podcast. We're not going to get ChatGPT to come up with, an outline, and then we just talk about what it come up with. It's like no, we'll just use it to enhance something that we do that can't be replicated by a machine that doesn't know any of this stuff.
I have this chat all the time, and I jump between both sides where I think, it's going to be a fad. Everyone's going to, jump on AI in terms of commercial work and, documentaries. Is it going to ever feel real? And then I think, that's why it'll be a fad, and then it'll come back to us shooting things naturally and in person because it's the flaws and there's the spontaneity of what happens on the set that's, creates the magic. Yeah. But then I go back to the negative, Chris, where I think, well, it's just going to get better and better at replicating all of that. So it's interesting and it's scary, but I don't know what the answer is, and I don't know what my answer is in terms of, is it going to be amazing or is it going to be the demise of us? I'm not sure.
I think it's going to take like in a commercial space, I imagine it's going to take brands and marketing companies to take a stand against it, to say, and even maybe harness it a little bit to say, genuine human content. I don't know what the terminology would be, but we everyone else is using AI, but we use real humans to take our photos or real humans to write our words or whatever it may be. Like brands actually promote originality and genuine human content. But as we all know, we live in a consumerism world where money talks. And if a marketing agency can get it done for a third of or a quarter or an eighth of the cost compared to the time and money and energy it takes to actually do it with people, I fear, like you, that they're going to swing the other way.
I remember there's a YouTube channel. It's kind of like a kids YouTube channel, but you might have been familiar with it when they first started. They did basketball trick shots. It's a YouTube channel called Dude Perfect, and they like the first video was just them just making like ridiculous basketball shots, and then it's evolved into this giant business and YouTube channel. But I was listening to a podcast with those guys and talking about AI and that kind of thing, and they said they use AI a lot to mock up thumbnails, and they'll often mock up their thumbnails before they film the video because they want everyone to have a sense of like what are we trying to create? Because on YouTube it's really relevant that the thumbnail attracts people, but then also is consistent with what's in the video, so that people aren't like, oh, that was clickbait. And they dropped 1,000 basketballs out of a massive carrier aircraft, trying to get one of them to go in a basketball ring, which is very difficult by the look of the video. And they mocked one up with AI, and they had multiple passes on this thing. They had photographers there. The plan was to basically try and replicate that shot with a real shot, replicate the thumbnail with a real photo of what they were doing, because they don't want people to think it's fake. They want to show that, because they really did it. They're like, we really dropped 1,000 basketballs out of this thing. It's not a trick. But they couldn't get a photo as good as what the AI one was. And then they tried and they tested 3 thumbnails, and the AI one outperformed the other 2 by far in terms of getting people to click on their video. And they were like, it was a real tough pill to swallow as to like, is this the right thing? Is this the wrong thing for us to do? Does it matter? We still filmed the video and did the thing with real stuff. But yeah, it was an interesting thought. They weren't just trying to cut money from their production cost. They just couldn't get what AI delivered them, even trying to replicate it later on. I don't know.
Yeah, it's tricky. And I think, with software, like Adobe products, obviously they have been introducing AI. They have been for a couple of years now, probably longer, but just called it other stuff. And we're seeing, denoise AI and other elements in, say, Lightroom. And my concern is, where do we draw the line on that? When all of a sudden Lightroom pretty much becomes like every other AI editing software, where you'll stick in your memory card and it will go through it and pick out the 20 bangers where you nailed everything that you've asked it to look for. I worry about that tipping point for the stuff that we rely on that mostly is not AI yet. We're still sliding sliders on software and things like that ourselves. When do we lose that creative control of the end product? That's my concern.
Yeah. It's my advice to people would be definitely not yet, because I'm telling you, it cannot reliably create podcast chapters from a transcript. So do not let it do something important without you checking it, particularly like culling images and not. So Jim and I tried an AI image culling service, and it was slower because, it picked, say, 80% of the images we would want. But we still had to end up looking through the whole shoot to see what it missed. And it missed the most interesting ones because it thought they didn't fit this
not perfect
standard photo rule of thirds, whatever it thinks is like a good photo. And it just went past them. And it was just a waste of time. So I don't know, maybe it's better now, but
there's definitely some good uses that we've been using. Like, as you mentioned, the transcript thing is very handy when we're doing long form interviews. And we literally the client will be like, oh, they mentioned this about this product or whatever it might be. And you can just punch it in and go, bang. They're amazing tools. Being able to do things like that and pull those sorts of things out is great. I mean, literally a couple of weeks ago, we shot a big TVC for a car commercial. And we had a dog that, we wanted to get a reaction out of. And we weren't able to get the reaction on set that we really wanted to because of time and, all that sort of thing. So we ended up recording our faces to get the reaction that we wanted, and then used AI to sort of add those movements into the shot of the dog. So there's definitely uses of it that are great, and just allow, those sorts of things to get you what you want. But there's definitely good uses, and I think there's definitely technology where it's still lagging behind.
What would your advice be to the young 18-year-old Chris that was starting right now in this world where you've got so much access to information, but you've got access to these AI tools as well? How would you tell them to navigate this situation so that they can end up, being successful 5-10 years from now?
become a chippy. I don't know. It's a really good question. And maybe I'll look back at this in 10 years and think, well, I was wrong. I don't know. I'm hoping that the industry's, it's just developed and we're just using it as another tool, and it's, another creative way to create amazing work. But I'm not sure. At this point, I just don't know, to be honest, to be 100% honest. I'm hoping that, it'll be a great tool that we'll use. And, I guess like anything, and like I've always done, is just read as much information as you can, try it all out, shoot as much as you can. My advice is always just shoot, because the more time you spend behind the camera, the more you learn. It's like anything, you learn hands-on.
Yeah,
so,
definitely.
I guess my advice would just be, and it's difficult at the moment because, Nano Banana was nowhere 3 weeks ago. I'd never heard of it. And then suddenly now it's a new thing that we need to learn, right? So it's like, which areas do you actually invest time and effort into? So ask me again in 5 years and we'll see what happens.
We will.
And it will be interesting, because at the moment, when you see AI generated content on, say, Instagram, there's always a tell. There's always, or a few tells. It doesn't quite have its poker face game on yet, but it won't be long before we can't tell. And I think that's when things are concerning, because from a competitive point of view, as professional photographers, you can either pay the 10 grand to get your professional photographer to do this, or you can give it to the kid who's offering you who wants 2 grand instead, and guarantees the same result because they're going to use AI to create it. They just need to be good at text prompts and refinement.
Like you said, it's not just the photographer, right? It's the model, it's the voiceover artist, it's the post-production team, it's the color gradist, it's the sound designer, it's whoever's, the band or whoever's creating the music. There's so many layers to it, right? Yeah. So what I always end up coming back to is, it's a bloody exciting time to be alive and to be witnessing this all happening. There's, in terms of, you look at our life and human history, it's a pretty exciting time to be around.
Yeah,
that's the most positive thing I can take out of it.
True.
Yep. Do you see, Chris, way to look at it, like car manufacturers potentially using their kind of computer generated images to then punch it into AI for sales stuff, or do you think that they'll?
Yeah, I mean, look, it's tricky because this has sort of already happened with CGI, right?
Yeah.
But it'll be interesting to see how good and how quickly these tools develop in terms of, will the manufacturers just have the CAD rendering of the car, they input it into AI and say, I want it to be on a beach with a beautiful woman running along there with some kids, bang, done. Yeah. So it'll be very interesting to see how these tools develop. And I think one of the other things is, yes, the industry will definitely change, and it's going to change. It's clients and agencies still don't really know what they want. Someone's going to have to create that vision, I'm hoping. Whether it gets to the point where it's just like you punch in, we're trying to create a Facebook ad that needs to capture 1,000 people's attention. Whether you just literally say that and say, this is the car, and it then goes and does it, I'm not sure. Or whether it's going to be that creative process is still going to be there in terms of, this is the concept, this is the look that we're going for.
Yeah.
It'll be interesting to see how it develops over the years.
Yeah. I think what people might be missing in the gold rush is exactly what you're talking about there, where it's like, if it gets to the point where everyone has the ability to punch something in and say, generate me an ad that cuts through on social media, if everyone does that, that's the definition of something not cutting through, because all of it will be built from the same formula. That's what creatives like you have made a living out of doing, is how do we think outside the box to create something new that will capture attention. AI isn't good at that because it's been trained on what already exists. And if every car brand types in similar prompts to generate similar ads that they say, well, we want this to go viral. If everything is designed to go viral, nothing goes viral. You're not going to stand out doing the same thing as everyone else. And so I wanted to bring this up before we run out of time. I know you've been on with us for 2 hours and 8 minutes, which is insane. This is one of the images, the image we used for the thumbnail of the show, which is obviously, I'm assuming, not one single image. It'd be cool if it was, but I assume there was potentially some Photoshop manipulation done here. But is this an example of someone had to come up with this idea? And it's not about whether or not you could execute it with AI. It's like someone has to come up with this idea for a campaign.
Yeah, it was actually a shoot for Mercedes-Benz, and from memory, it was for Mercedes-Benz magazine, but ended up being used as advertising. If you go back to the series, I think there's a series of images for this, and if you scroll up to some of them, even to some of the other ones in the water, like that shot there, if you go back one, that shot there is a single frame. The only thing that I added in was the cityscape onto the left of that building.
Is it really a single frame? I thought these would all be composites because I was like, oh, it probably wasn't worth them trying to do this in one shot. Wow. It
was just a small editorial shoot, and I had one of those. I've literally got it sitting on the wall next to me. One of those little, what are they called? The Dicker Pack underwater bags.
Yeah, I got one of those.
So I literally just chuck the camera in that, and it was just an idea that I had when I found out that we were going to be shooting a swimmer, and that we were able to get the car close to the pool. I was like, man, it'd be epic to be able to shoot, a single image and try and split the water. And it was a tricky shot to try and get, but there wasn't the other shot that you started with. That was the car was shot by someone else, and then that was used as advertising for Mercedes and their C-Class.
But that would have never existed if you hadn't been there and just come up with this idea on the fly and shot this single image. I assume that other image that wasn't planned ahead of time.
Well, I planned it ahead a little bit because I knew what was happening, and but in terms of seeing it exactly, because I hadn't seen the location, I literally flew up to Queensland for this, and flew in, jumped in the pool, and
interesting.
Managed to grab that.
I thought this must have come from we've got this idea for a creative with a split shot for this campaign. I thought that's how that would have evolved. But you're saying it was more evolved as you knew you were shooting a swimmer, so why wouldn't I try and get this shot?
Yeah. And it was a small shoot. There was I think I had one assistant on there with me. And just jumped in the pool.
Love it. So no lighting or anything in the pool?
Nothing. Yeah, all natural light.
It's incredible.
Yeah, beautiful shot. I can't see if that was me, I wouldn't have been able to add the city skyline. I would have been like, nah, I want to be able to say that this is just like one shot. It is what it is. I wouldn't have been able to do it, even though it makes it cooler.
I'll have to dig up the raws for you and send them through.
Yeah, it's such a good photo. Wow.
Yeah.
Well, that's very cool. So would that be one shot, except for the city?
Yep, that was other than the city. Yep.
Nice.
Easy.
Yeah, I really thought these were composites.
Yeah.
Just because of how difficult I thought it would be to pull these shots off.
Mm.
Yeah, if I was to do it again, I'd probably do it composite because trying to get it in camera would be difficult.
Yeah, you'd be like,
you'd be scared to promise a client that this is what we can do.
Yeah.
Yeah. So if this was the creative direction from the start, right now in your head, you'd be thinking, okay, we'll do a composite. I'll set the swim shot up. I'll set the car location up. Maybe they'll even be in different spots because the spot near the pool won't necessarily be the right, spot for the car. And that's how your mind would work in the beginning.
It's all control, especially for the big commercial stuff. So, they're going to have copy that's going to go somewhere. They're going to need to be able to put it on billboards that are 100 foot long, and then they're also going to need social crops out of it now. So if I was approaching this now in a commercial sense, I'd definitely be thinking of composites for sure. Mm-hmm. I mean, a lot of the commercial stuff, if you jump back to some of the Kia shots, even looking at the driving shots, I can talk you through some of those. So the top left, that one. If you jump to that driving shot, I mean, that driving shot was shot static, that first shot. So car is stationary. We jack the car up, spin the wheels. We then drive the car out of frame. We then shoot background plates. So that mountainscape wasn't there, that sky wasn't there. But what that then allows us to do is we sit down with the client and we say, okay, well, how much dust do you want there? Is that covering too much of the car? Do you want to be able to see the emblems on the wheels? Do we want to speed the wheels up more, slow it down? Same with the background blur. This lens flare, do you want more of it or less of it? And it's a huge collaboration with this sort of stuff, and the amount of thought that goes into every one of those shots is huge. And while at times it can be amazing, other times it can be infuriating, because you could be having the most incredible sunset over to your right and you're working on this image that's meant to look dark and moody. And that's where I say I miss the old editorial days where it was like, you would be the boss essentially on set and you'd just be like, that's the shot we're going to get because it looks incredible. But yeah, I guess all this post stuff, just the level of control that allows you. And, if we were to shoot this shot for real, whether it's using a hard rig pole to the car and a slow shutter speed, you're always then at the mercy of, how much bounces in the shot. Is the car going to be sharp? Whereas shooting this stuff static is we get to control the reflections, the light on the car, the speed, as I mentioned, the amount of dust, all that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
Insane. I wouldn't have guessed that much would go into that shot.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's crazy. And whereas the other shot, I was like, oh, that'll definitely have a lot of composite work. And apparently I have no idea what I'm looking at. I love it.
Well, that's good. That means I'm doing it right.
Yeah. I can't tell what's. Yeah,
I'll take that as a compliment.
I think that is exactly as the way you should take it. It's like I'm looking at it going, it's an amazing photo, and here's how I think it was created, and it was opposite to what I thought. Yeah, insane. Like these are just. Yeah, it's nuts.
And the same with that. Like it was bucketing down with rain when we shot that. So that was shot in a gazebo essentially. So we were under a gazebo. We'd already had the background plates shot, and then we knew where the key light was going to be coming from. So we light for that. And then it's lit in parts. So this was literally lit with one bron color flash. So we'd just use the softbox, and then in post, you'd light essentially each part of the car. So you'd light the front driver's seat, the front passenger seat, the dashboard. We'd then shoot plates of the infotainment screen. And then we'd chuck blacks over the car and shoot long exposures to get the ambient lighting. So it's quite technical, this sort of stuff. But it's fun when you're thinking, this is what I want the shot to look like, and then you piece it all together and it ends up looking exactly how you'd planned. So it's a fun process.
Yeah. Rewarding, yeah,
that's insane. I'd love that. Yeah, I know you're trying to do more of it, but yeah, the quick behind the scenesy kind of, even just a still of this thing sitting under a gazebo in the rain would be so cool. Just to be like, but before, after, It's that's amazing. Quick question here. If you have to go, just yell out. Because otherwise,
no, I've got nowhere to be. You've got me for the day.
Perfect. We'll stay on. This will be the longest live stream we've ever done.
Yeah.
Shots by Jack. What's your best advice for controlling vehicle reflections? How many people do you require, and what sort of tools are you using?
It depends on the scale for this sort of stuff. I mean, you could go out there as just a single shooter and absolutely nail it. My biggest advice with cars is, like I mentioned at the start of this, is they're shiny. They're a big reflective orb. So location is probably the most important thing. It's location and then light. So time of day, what's around. And this is one of the things that we've found over the years that's really difficult, is we'd get location scouts to go out and look on these big commercial jobs for us. Excuse me. Sorry, just may have a water.
Go for it.
Where the location scouts would find this incredible location and send you photos of it. But you'd turn up on the day and you'd turn around and there'd be orange bunting from some construction right there that you can't cover up or can't remove. And that reflects on the car. So I'd definitely say location is probably the best first step in terms of controlling the reflections on the car. And then in terms of how many people, it depends how far you want to go. I mean, if the light's incredible, you don't need anyone there. It can be just you shooting by yourself. But if the light isn't there and you need to sort of replicate it, that's when you're bringing out big, negative fill to create horizon lines on the car, or bounce in there to bounce in, get the details on certain parts of the car. So it's one of those variables that's tricky to give a single answer to. But yeah, my best advice is just good location, good light.
Yeah. So you spend a lot of time with layers in Photoshop, just piecing it all back together.
Yeah. For those sorts of jobs, like not every job is like that, right? So some shoots, they want a very natural look, and we'll just go and make it look as clean as we can in camera. And then other jobs, it'll be, one shoot we might be creating 50 to 70 images a day, and then other shoots you'll be shooting 2 to 3 frames a day, and that's it.
Yeah.
How much of the Photoshop work on a shoot like that do you still do, or do you have someone that does all of that for you now?
It depends on the scale of the job and what other jobs we have directly after. So sometimes I'll be using, there's a couple of guys that we'll use, and Dan is one of them. I've got another guy who was from one of the groups, the Facebook groups that I spoke about, and I've known for years, and he's a great guy who lives overseas. And then I'll jump on depending. But I mean, generally myself or Dan will manage the image if we're using someone externally. So it varies. It varies job to job, but I still love doing it as well. I think post-production is such a big part of these big commercial images, because there's so many things you pick up on set from the client in terms of conversations. So to brief someone would take a huge amount of time, and sometimes it's just quicker to jump in there and make sure those things are done. And other times, we'll get someone externally to work on the initial part, and then I'll jump in, do the color grading, do the cleanups that I want, change the things that I want. And I think I think whatever, for commercial photography, I think if you can understand the post and do it yourself, you learn how to shoot for it as well. So you learn the process. It's like video editing. I always say the best cinematographers are video editors, because they understand the storyline, they understand the process, they understand the cutaway shots that are required, all that sort of stuff.
Yeah, so they'll get that stuff on location because they know that otherwise it's a pain in the ass when you don't have that.
Yeah,
you're trying to piece it together. Yeah. All right, I'm going to take a stab at this. This is either a single frame of exactly as it was shot, this photo, or it's a golf cart in a McDonald's car park. And then the rest of it was... So what went into this shot? Tell me about it.
This was actually shot in situ in that building. Wow. The rays of light weren't there, and the light in the ground wasn't there. So we actually went outside with a flash and flashed each window essentially to try and get the light onto the ground. Wow. And then, walking around the car, lighting each panel of the car from there.
Okay.
The smoke was there. So we did have a smoke machine on the day. But most of the haze and smoke was added in post.
Mm-hmm. Okay, but the background is the background.
The that's
car
actually
is
there.
Where it was parked. Okay. So when you say you lit the car, walked around lighting the car, are you using continuous light or flash to light the car?
It's a mix. So for this one, from memory, it was just purely flash. But a lot of the time, we'll actually use a combination of light painting and flash. So it's literally one light on a light stand. Someone will walk around with it. We'll flash parts of the car to get the nice reflections to light up each panel, and then composite that in post. And it could be, like I said, a combination of flash and then light painting as well. Just depends on where we're shooting it, how much control we have over the location.
If you were to layer this together in the worst possible way, this car, so as in every time there's a reflection from a softbox or whatever, you put it in as opposed to leaving it out. I assume there'd be tons of reflections that you have to manage from the lighting. Is that how it works when you're saying piece it together, each panel and that kind of thing? So if you were to just say, I'm just going to put everything in there that's bad, it would look like the worst car photo ever.
Absolutely. And, light levels and things like that, we're adjusting in post after the fact as well. So we'll shoot, the wheels correctly exposed with a nice large soft source. But then in post, when putting it all together, you might think, well, at 100%, it doesn't look natural. We're on the shadow side of the car. It should be down a little bit. So you'll then bring it down in post as well. So
just by
for
eye,
these sort of
what
composite
you
shots,
think looks like just to taste, basically.
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay.
And that's the interesting thing when you hand these images off to someone else, their vision could be completely different to how you initially saw it and how you originally, shot it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's so interesting. I honestly looked at this one for a second. I was like, I genuinely can't figure out if that background's fake or not. So I'm going to bring that one up. Okay, this is a fun game. Before you have to go,
Go the second
images,
second one in, second top left, second one in, the Kia.
This one?
Yeah.
This photo or one of the other ones?
That'll be a good one for you.
I think.
What do you think's real? What do you think's fake?
Nothing. The tree.
I think I saw it behind the scenes of this or something.
Well, you can't play.
There is a behind the scenes of this.
Yeah.
There's so the timber house is not there.
Oh,
it does look a little bit rendered, but I just can't tell. I couldn't tell for sure. Is the tree, this tree next to the car, the little one, is that real or fake?
It's real, but I think from memory it was moved about a foot to the left because it was slightly overlapping the car.
Just move that over. Wow. What about the dude? Is the dude in this shot, or is that?
Yeah, he was there. He was shot in situ.
So is that doorway real? Like this part is real, but this part is fake, or all of this is fake?
No, so the concrete structure is real, with the bush on top of it, and then everything behind that is essentially fake. And from memory, the mountains and the water and everything as well.
Oh wow!
Oh gosh!
And then this location you couldn't actually see, but in front of the car there's probably 1.5 meters, and then there's a wall.
Really?
So the car, we got to the location and we were thinking there probably wasn't enough pre-production done on this one, but actually getting the car in there was touch and go for a little bit of whether it would actually fit through the opening that we had there.
Oh wow!
So I just don't understand. Is it just years of practice? But how do you see a location like this to scout and then just know that you'll be able to make it look amazing afterwards? I guess my brain just doesn't work like that. It's too literal. I would see it and be like, well, that's ugly. There's a wall there. How do you know what is controllable and what is just like, this is too hard, we should just find somewhere else?
I think that's probably the experience of doing the post yourself and understanding the process as much as possible. But look, there's times where I turn up to set and go, well, we're stuffed. This is going to look terrible. But then with post, you're able to make it look, pretty good.
Yeah.
And it's always hard, these big commercial shoots. Like this is, I think there was about 3 days of post spent on just this image.
Wow.
So there's, a lot of time. And, we're shooting plates to extend left and right, up and down, to cover all formats.
Yeah. So, okay, quick question on that side of things. How much? So obviously with stills, it's a little bit easier to be like, okay, we'll just make sure this can work for vertical, like social, all that sort of stuff. For video, how much of the stuff that you do now is being partly guided by this has to be good for social, as opposed to the traditional horizontal format like 16:9 or whatever?
Probably 99%. Everything has to go to social now, right? Which is hard, especially with lensing choices, because I love using nice anamorphics, which just give the image character and an interesting look. So it's tricky to always try and create a unique looking image with spherical lenses.
Yeah, but that limits your ability to be able to crop a vertical. And is that what you're talking about? Open gate? With a taller sensor is going to be useful for you in terms of multiple format outputs.
Absolutely.
In post-production.
Yeah, I'm interested to see when manufacturers start creating more square sensors or more even almost vertical orientated sensors that then can be cropped. I'm sure that's the next thing that'll be happening.
Well, that Fujifilm GFX Eterna is 4:3. And 100 megapixels or whatever. I don't know what the rest of its specs are like for the sort of work that you do, but just the sensor aspect ratio is very interesting for that multiple. That's one of the things they're really pushing is the the flexibility of formats from that sensor.
Yep.
Any other weird ones on here that we should have a look at? Anything else that you've done that's would very much surprise us?
I'm trying to think.
These were actually dolphins.
Where are the
dolphins? The people were there. The car was positioned in post.
Oops, damn, went the wrong way. Yeah, okay. So
it can't drive on a beach.
We actually used pieces of timber to get the car onto the beach. So we laid down timber tracks and drove the car into position. And it was just a time thing. So I ended up, getting in the tent to shoot the talent and the tent itself. And then to reposition the car and reposition the tent was going to take too long. So it was quicker for me to shoot a background plate of just walking up to the car and shooting the car and, framing it, keeping in mind the rule of thirds and where I wanted to place the car in that opening in the tent. Yeah.
Yeah, wow.
And then everything else in here is just from straight out camera.
Just what's this camera strap?
So that was my original film camera. That's the one that that's the first camera I shot on. It's an old Pentax.
So I was going to say, it looks like one I've got on the wall. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. That's crazy. So you just brought that along as a prop.
Yeah. Yep.
Do you still shoot any film?
No, I never really shot that much film. We learnt quite a bit through TAFE and in school as well, year 12 and year 11. But yeah, I know there's a lot of guys that love shooting film and love the look and all that sort of stuff. But I feel like most of that can be achieved with digital nowadays. And I'm sort of, I guess, different in that way that I don't love the nostalgia so much of that. And there's guys and some of the guys that work with us just love film, but I can't get excited about it.
Yeah.
What other than your commercial work, what do you get excited about with photography? Do you have personal projects that you pursue? Do you have a genre that's completely left of field compared to what you do professionally, or is it just pure work for you?
No, definitely. I still love shooting. If I'm going out and we're traveling somewhere with the family, I just love shooting the kids just as a keepsake for memories. I definitely don't do it enough, and I wish I did it more. And it's always hard because, work is treated as work and all the cameras live here. And, I always end up buying a camera, taking it home and then thinking, I need it for that job next week. I'll bring it in the office. And then it gets left, and you always wish it was back at home. But yeah, it's the personal projects that I'm trying to do more and more of. I mean, we're trying to, at the moment, put together a YouTube little few episodes where myself, Dan, and Lawrence, the three guys that work at Cube here, are going to sort of have similar, I guess, rules and regulations. So, the theme might be red, and we all go take that as our interpretation, whether it's talent or whether it's, location or props, that sort of thing. And we show how each of us approach things differently and how, creatively we think about things differently. So I'm using that as sort of a bit of a personal project. And then at the end, the idea is that we're going to have a big Christmas party and a showing of all the images. And then, when we sell the images, each of us will have a choice of charity where the money goes to. So I think it's, there's definitely, I'd love shooting all the commercial stuff, but I need to spend more time creating those personal projects, and this is sort of one way that we're trying to do it at the moment.
I love that. That's great. That's cool. And someone gets
I'll send you guys. Oh, I don't know if there'll be a winner. I think it'll just be, everybody wins, right? We'll invite you guys to the Christmas party and come along, have a beer.
Yeah.
Hey, then we get the studio tour, road trip. We're doing it. Tony said earlier on, he's like, get in, we're all going. So it's happening. We're going to come up there. You know what I was going to say, Jim? Would it be great? Should we get the world's most professional critique of that car photo that you did that I helped you with?
Probably not.
No, remember we put with the dog?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Have you got it handy? No, do you have the photo? You took the photo. I mean, why would I have it? This is
it's on our Justin and Jim website. It's under About Me.
Should I pull it up, Chris, or is this silly? We took it. You know how I just got reminded of it because I was on your website and I was like, there's a curious lack of supercars on your website, considering you are one of the world's leading automotive photographers. Whereas people are probably less and less successful in the industry, they've got more and more supercars in their portfolio. Do you find that
there's no money? There's no money in supercars, right?
No. Yeah. I just saw the Aventador on your website, and it reminded me of I assumed that was probably the case, that supercars, there's people lining up to take photos of them, and there's not a lot of money in that side of things.
Yeah. If I could shoot supercars every day, I would. It'd be the dream, right?
Yeah. You got any particular?
But it doesn't pay the bills.
Particular brands or anything that that you love?
I'm similar with camera gear with cars, right? And the worst thing is with this industry is we get to see all the latest and greatest cars, so you become a terrible car snob really quickly.
Kia. I mean, no, Kia. Kia's amazing. Yeah. I love Kia.
No, well, that's the thing. You'll jump in something and be like, "Oh, this is terrible. How much is it? Oh, it's $200,000." You become very picky with that sort of stuff. Yeah. But look, there's so many cars out there, from like a Toyota 86 that's just fun. You can slide around and it's semi-affordable, all the way up to dream car would be a nice Porsche 911 or something along those lines.
Do you have a fancy car yourself, or is it because you've got so much exposure to all these cars, you're kind of like, I don't need one of those at home, sitting in the garage? I still have fancy cars. Yeah, I can't help myself. I waste all my money on that cool. And camera gear. Yep. I mean, yeah, that's the love of it showing through. I assume someone that isn't in love with cars or in love with camera gear is going to have a tough time doing what you've done in your career, because you got to love it to get to there, to push that hard.
Yeah.
All right, critique us.
This is epic.
Is the dog real?
Well, the dog's definitely real. This is pre-AI, isn't it?
Yeah, it's pre-AI. When did you shoot this?
2014, 20. I don't know. When did Aventadors come out? It was pretty much brand new.
Yeah.
Still such an epic looking car.
Cool car.
Yeah.
And one of the best sounding engines of all time.
Sounded cool when he was moving around in that, because it was just an empty shed, empty warehouse. It's just there, echoing. Anyway, I was Jim's assistant, and that's about the best.
That's an epic shot.
Thank you.
Thanks. Well, one frame, I think, too.
Well, yeah, we weren't
not very good
stuff. Nah.
Yeah.
No, just trying to move lights around so we didn't have any reflections, which is easier on a white car.
Hanging expensive lights over a very expensive car is always nerve-wracking too.
It's true.
Yeah. And then trying to make that dog stay put.
Yeah, schnitzel.
Anyway, that's about the highlight of our automotive career.
Nice.
Yep.
That looks good.
Cool. Yeah, thanks. If you need any help with your shoots, just yell out,
Yeah. Always. Come. Yeah. As I said, come drop past, guys.
Yeah.
We definitely want to come for a visit.
We call it quick and dirty.
It is quick and dirty. Yeah. We're definitely not finesses.
No.
What else? Anything else that we want to talk about?
No, I think, Chris, what have you got on the horizon? What's coming up for you?
As I mentioned, we've got that little YouTube thing, and I'm just trying to shoot more behind the scenes. In terms of projects coming up, we haven't really got anything. We're still talking about more personal projects that we want to do. There's nothing too exciting happening right now. We've just done a heap of commercial work. We've just done about 3 months of back-to-back work, which has been absolutely hectic. But I'm excited for a week of nothing, to be honest.
Nothing. How does a year usually sort of work out for you guys in terms of how many big projects are there, and then how many smaller projects are there? How often is it that you just non-stop, like you just said, for months, and then have these big gaps? And is that tough, trying to balance out the financials of a business, having sort of huge gaps in between large projects?
Yeah, for sure. The stress never stops. It's tricky. Like pre-COVID, I could have told you down to the month when we would be quiet and when we'd be busy and forecast it. Whereas now, since COVID, it's very difficult for us. January used to be our quiet month, except for every 4 years, which seemed to line up with the cycles of launches with cars. So yeah, it's difficult now, I find, to track things down. And then with spending and stuff, obviously, the cost of living is so high at the moment that everybody's trying to pull back budgets wherever they can. So the work isn't as consistent as it is, and especially once you get to the bigger commercial stuff, the big high-end stuff isn't happening as often. So it's a hard answer to sort of hard question to answer. But yeah, it can be tricky when it rains, it pours. Everything comes in all at once, and you're getting pulled in 3 directions.
Does it feel like you need to say yes to all of those because you don't know what's going to happen, for the 6 months after that? So you're like, well, this is going to be tough, but we kind of need to take this work while we can get it. And yeah.
That's been the advantage of having Cube and expanding the team a bit, is we're able to say yes to more things, whereas back in the day I learned pretty quickly when you say yes to everything you burn yourself out.
Yeah, for sure.
And that doesn't help anybody at the end of the day.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And what about personal projects? What about long-term plans for Cube? Have you got a sort of a bit of a vision for what you want to happen over the next 3 or 5 years? Different industries that you want to try and push into, or different types of projects?
Yeah, look, I'm really enjoying the commercial stuff. It's good fun. It's creative. I love the process, and I love the biggest thing, like I mentioned before, is working with a good team. So being able to handpick the team and have a team that you love working with day in, day out has been, it's like having a little family, and just being able to hang out every day and talk about the stuff you love and enjoy. But yeah, it's interesting because there's so many things that I want to do and I can actually do. Yeah. We're building a rooftop studio at the moment, so we've got a nice car park above the studio here, and I think it'll, technically it might be Australia's first outdoor studio where we can shoot cars and people and things like that. We can paint the ground and the walls, which will be exciting. So I'm excited to do that. But in terms of scale of the business, I'm loving where it is now, because it feels like a family. It feels like we can give every client enough time and enough love that it doesn't feel just like another number. And I think I enjoyed that part the most. I don't, there's no goals of becoming the biggest production company in the world or anything like that. It's just producing work that we're really proud of and keep doing what we love, because at the end of the day, I think that shows in the work, and I think it shows on set when you're with the client. And the end goal really is just keep doing what we're doing and enjoy it. We're so lucky to be in this industry and doing what we're doing. It's epic.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Man, I don't think luck has much to do with it. I think it's hard work and a lot of years of pushing and driving yourself forward. But maybe a tiny bit.
I'm only actually 20 years old, but I just look like this.
It's that kind of industry. Epic. I think that's probably a good note to leave it on. Oh, you guys got any other questions?
No, I'm good. I think we've covered everything.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate you having me on.
Thank you. I can't believe you were worried about a live podcast. You crushed it.
Nailed it. Yeah. Absolutely nailed it. But look, on that note, we will wrap. First and foremost, thank you, Chris, for your time and your insight. And drawing back the curtain on what goes on in this sort of industry, in this genre. I think that the more creative people see what's possible, the more that they aspire to create, which is amazing, which is part of the reason why we do what we do. And on that note, this is the Camera Life podcast. So if you're watching along and you're new to the channel, please give us a like. It helps out. Make sure you subscribe to the channel, and make sure you tickle the bell icon so that you get notifications. We do 2 shows a week, every Thursday morning, 9 a.m. Australian Eastern Standard Time, and can't remember what it is now, Monday evening, 7:30 p.m. Australian time. But if you subscribe and hit the bell, you'll get notifications in your time zone. Once again, Chris, thank you so much for your time today, very generous time, and for sharing your story with us. It's been incredibly inspirational.
Hey, thanks for having us on, and thanks for doing this sort of stuff. Like I said, I think this is the sort of stuff when I was younger and coming into this industry that was exciting, being able to, hear how everyone else got into the industry, hear insights, that sort of stuff is exciting. So yeah, thanks for having us on. And shameless plug, if you guys want to see more of our behind the scenes, come follow us on socials and and shoot us a message if you ever have questions. More than happy to give you insights or
go to Cube Productions, which is QUBE Productions on YouTube, and subscribe. First of all, subscribe and then watch the behind the scenes episodes of the Red Bull shoot because they're hilarious and also awesome,
amazing.
And then wait for this new series to come out of you guys competing. I mean, collaborating on different themes and seeing who's the best photographer. Get over there and check it out. It's very, very cool. So
we'll also put the links down in the comments.
We'll throw them down
in the description so everyone can check it out there.
Yeah,
I think we'll wrap. Chris, thank you once again. Absolute delight to meet you, and a greater delight to hear your journey. Thanks, Jim, for joining. Justin,
thanks, Ray.
Always good to see you.
Thanks, guys.
And we might just say goodbye to some people in the chat and roll the music and go from there, boss.
Done.
Thank you.
Philip Johnson, thank you. He says thanks, Chris, and thanks, guys. Tony, thanks for hanging out. Hope you've been saving the lives of some fridges today while listening. And shots by Jack. Hopefully you got something out of it. You'll probably, I'm sure, get in touch with Chris and hassle him, see if he can assist on a shoot. Stuart Lyle, Robert Varner, Roy Bixby. Oh, Samantha Olsen was here. She says, don't forget to hit the like button. I agree. Thanks, Matt. Thanks, everyone. We'll catch you guys in the next one.
Cheers. Thanks, guys.
Thanks, guys.